Chapter 3301. Book 1. 245 Zhao Fu asked, "Make what public?" Ingli said, "Make public what you've done and your identity, and I'll have all 9 of you come here." Zhao Fu thought about it and nodded. Following this, the 9 people came to the hall. Seeing Ing Li's red face and Zhao Fu next to her, they naturally knew what had happened. Ing Kuan gave a trace of a smile. She understood that Zhao Fu had succeeded. However, Inge frowned. She had already asked Zhao Fu to leave, so why was Zhao Fu still here? Ingli sat on both sides and looked at the women as she smiled and said, "I already know everything. We've all done it with him and become his women. With this identity, we should be able to get along better in the future." Hearing this, the women's expressions fell. Ing Kuan and Inge felt quite panicked. Ing Fei looked at Zhao Fu somewhat angrily, and Ing Di looked at Zhao Fu with hidden bitterness. Ing Yin felt quite shy, and Ing Mu and Ing Lian both smiled. Ing Li smiled and said, "I wonder if he's told you his true identity?" The women looked at Zhao Fu strangely. They had never heard Zhao Fu say this before. Ing Li smiled as she said, "Looks like he hasn't said it yet. He's the legendary heaven-awakened son, the possessor of 8 supreme emperor stars." Hearing this, everyone looked incredibly shocked, and their hearts started to beat rapidly. Zhao Fu said apologetically, "I'm sorry. Due to some reasons, I did not tell you my true identity." Ing Kuan cursed angrily, "You bastard." Ing Mu said by the side, "Big sis, don't be so angry. He has his own difficulties. It's understandable that he did not reveal such a big thing." Ing Kuan said angrily, "I'm not angry because of that. It's because he lied to me and told the chief everything." Ing Li explained with a smile, "You really can't blame him for this. I already knew your plan, and I forced him to tell me his identity. Otherwise, he wouldn't have told me his identity. Now everyone in the world is looking for him. It's good to be careful." Ing Kuan looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "Is it true?" Zhao Fu nodded innocently. Kage understood that he had wronged Zhao Fu, but he wasn't angry. Instead, he felt a bit guilty. Ing Lian said, "Since everything has been said, I also have to say something. This scum took me by force and threatened me with my favorite mystic cat. Patriarch, please uphold justice for me. How do you think I should punish him?" Ing Mu said, "Me too. This guy is too violent towards me." Ing Yin spoke up for Zhao Fu. "If that's the case, why are you still willing to obey him and be with him?" Ing Lian explained, "I was threatened by this guy." Ing Fei glanced at Zhao Fu. "Me too. He's despicable, but I can accept him as my man." Ing Di said, "He cured me, so we don't owe each other anything. I have nothing to say." Ing Lian said angrily, "I don't care. You bullied me. You must let me vent my anger." Ing Mu lightly harumphed. "He can accompany you for one more day, right?" Ing Lian's face became red as she said, "Ing Mu, you and an outsider bullied me. You also had a part in this and should be punished." Ing Mu said, "So what?" Ing Lian said angrily, "Don't go too far." Ing Li laughed as she said, "All right, stop arguing. Let's get down to business." Ing Yi looked at Ing Li and said, "Patriarch, you should know about my plan, but you didn't say anything. You hid it quite well, and if it wasn't for this time, I wouldn't have been able to see through your true colors." Ing Li smiled as she said, "It's not because of me. It's because you're too arrogant." Ing Yi nodded. "You're right. I'm convinced. What do you want to talk about?" Ing Li smiled as she said, "He's come to the water domain to awaken the final water race Emperor Star, and he's going to collect the 8 directional water worlds. I've already given him the 8 directional water world, so he already has 5. Ing Kage said in shock, "Patriarch, you have 8 water worlds?" Ing Lian slightly nodded. Hearing this, Ing Kage sighed. Back then, in order to steal Demon Grass City's 8 water worlds, he had been heavily injured. He had never thought that the Shadowfish clan would have 8 water worlds, and it would be easier to obtain them from the Patriarch. Ing Li continued to say, "I want the Shadowfish clan to fully support him, and he promises that he will not forget the benefits of the Shadowfish clan in the future." Ing Yi said, "I have no objections. This deal is worth it." Ing Di said, "I don't have any objections either." The others thought about it and shook their heads, expressing that they had no objections. Ingli looked at Inkage and asked, I heard from him that you have information about an 8-water world? Inkage nodded. It's under a water abyss. I've tried there before, but it's too dangerous. Hearing about a water abyss, Zhao Fu asked, Is it the Blade Shark water abyss? Inkage looked at Zhao Fu and replied, No, it's the poison water abyss. Zhao Fu let out a sigh of relief. Zhao Fu had already obtained the Blade Shark water abyss's 8-water world. Inkage asked curiously, What is it? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, It's nothing. I've already obtained the other Blade Shark water abyss's 8-water world. Inkage said, The poison water abyss is filled with poisonous jellyfish and releases a formless poison. Even higher beings will be poisoned to death if they enter. I was poisoned by that poison, but luckily I escaped in time, or else I might have died there. Moreover, it took me half a year to get rid of the poison. Poison? Zhao Fu thought about it and did not feel too afraid. Ingli nodded. Later, we'll see if we can obtain this 8-water world and continue to help him gather information. The women nodded. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Thank you, everyone, for your help. Ing smiled as she said, There's no need to be so polite. Husband, we look forward to the moment when you awaken all of your Emperor stars. Inkage said apologetically, My power has not recovered yet, so I might not be able to help much. Zhao Fu knew this and smiled as he said, you can stay here. Inkage shook her head. I want to go and have a look. I have some basic understanding of that place and can give you some useful information. Zhao Fu smiled as he nodded. Ingli looked at the women and said, Is there anything else you want to say? The women looked at each other and shook their heads. Ingli smiled as she said, Let's do some things that will make us more harmonious. The women looked at Ingli strangely, not understanding what she meant. Ingli smiled as she pushed Zhao Fu to the side. The women's faces became red. Ingli lightly laughed. Even though she had underestimated Ingli's abilities in scheming, she was not wrong in this regard. Ingli said flirtatiously, If you don't come, he'll be mine. Hearing this, Ing, who liked Zhao Fu the most, looked at the women and blushed as she walked forwards. The women could only join in. Chapter 3302. Book 1, Chapter 246. Boom, boom, a deafening roar rang out. Beams of light brought with them an irresistible force as they shot towards the fiery barrier. Bang, bang, bang. The beams of light smashed into the barrier, causing ripples to spread out, causing the barrier's power to weaken. On the ground, there were countless Card World soldiers. The power protected by the barrier was Fire Country. Hua Baiwu stood on the city wall, his expression extremely unsightly. Facing the ferocious attack of a Card World country, Fire Country might not be able to stop it. If they could not stop it, it would mean that Fire Country would perish. Hua Baiwu did not want his ancestors' foundation to be destroyed in his hands, but he had no other choice. The nearby factions could not even protect themselves, and it was impossible for them to help. The news quickly spread, causing Fire Country's citizens to panic. Hua Qingmei came to the palace and said, You should know about Mother's matter, right? Hua Dongmei nodded solemnly. The faction attacking Fire Country this time is very powerful, and Fire Country might not be able to stop it. Hua Qingmei said, We'll look for Qin's support. Hua Dongmei nodded. Only Qin can help us now, but I heard that that fellow has already gone to the water region, and I don't know when he will return. Right now, the ones in charge are Qin's by Qi and Li Si. Hua Qingmei said worriedly, Without him, I don't know if Qin will help us. Hua Dongmei thought about it and said, I think so. They should know about our relationship with that fellow, and it's impossible for them to not help us. Hua Qingmei's face became slightly red. Let's write a letter to Qin for help now. The letter quickly reached Qin's ears. Bai Qi looked at the letter in his hands and called Li Si and a few other ministers over to discuss. Li Si said, Before His Majesty left, he ordered us to do our best to help them if they encounter any difficulties. How many troops do you think we should send? Bai Qi said, The troops attacking Fire Country are stage 2. For now, the Dragon King's army should not move. I want to send 20 billion troops 100,000 alchemy saint beasts, and fire country. It should be enough to repel this card world faction. Li Si asked, "Who do you think is suitable to lead the army?" Bai Qi thought for a moment. Right now, Qin's generals are stationed in different worlds. This is no small matter. I think we should summon Meng Tian back and let him lead the army to the fire country. Li Si thought for a while and nodded. At this moment, a guard walked in and reported, "Sir, there's important news from the Yin world." Li Si asked curiously, "What is it?" The guard replied, "The Yellow Springs Queen has requested for you to personally take a look." After Li Si and Bai Qi arrived at the underworld Yellow Springs Kingdom, terrifying ripples continuously spread out, making people feel immense terror and causing their legs to tremble. Sensing this power, Bai Qi looked quite shocked. Arriving at the source of the ripples, Zhao Fu found that it was a Yellow Springs. The 12 Yellow Springs Empresses were already standing nearby, looking down at the Yellow Springs with grim expressions. Now, the Yellow Springs had formed 10 huge whirlpools, and the terrifying fluctuations were coming from the 10 whirlpools. Looking at the 10 whirlpools, Li Si suddenly remembered that it was them. Boom! Boom! Massive explosions sounded out as rays of yellow light containing immense power shot into the sky, forming massive pillars of yellow light. There were 10 massive pillars of yellow light in total, and they gave off heaven-toppling auras. This unstoppable aura suppressed the Yellow Springs Kingdom, and everyone felt as if there was a massive boulder weighing down on them, making it difficult for them to even breathe. As the most powerful people who had Yellow Springs power, only the 12 Yellow Springs Empresses could just barely withstand it. Bai Qi and Li Si felt a great deal of pressure. The 10 figures slowly rose up from the bottom of the pillars of light and appeared before everyone. The 12 Yellow Springs Empresses looked at the 10 figures in shock. Was this their final form? They were simply too powerful and far surpassed them. Seeing them, Bai Qi smiled and said, "Li Si, I've changed my mind." Li Si understood and smiled as he said, "His Majesty has nurtured them for so many years and has been looking forward to the day they reappear. It's a pity that His Majesty has gone to the water region, or else he would be very happy to see this scene." Bai Qi smiled as he said, "I've also been looking forward to the day they reappear. Back then, they made great contributions to Qin, causing the world to feel fear and destruction. After being silent for so many years, it's time for them to return to their former glory." Li Si smiled and nodded. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out as the defensive barrier protecting the fire country was shattered by a wave of power, and the card world soldiers gave off shocking auras as they rushed towards the fire country. The fire country's side shot out countless fire arrows, which gave off fiery power and descended like a rain of fire, creating a majestic scene. The card world was also prepared and knew that the fire country was a faction that focused on fire. They threw out cards that turned into walls of water, blocking all of the fire arrows that were shot over. Hua Baiwu's expression was quite unsightly, and he could only release the fire country's large creatures. Massive fire lizards appeared, opened their mouths, and countless fiery flames gathered. Swish, 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 large fireballs flew towards the card world's army and violently exploded, blasting apart the walls of water and sending some of the card world's soldiers flying. The card world immediately threw out more cards, forming walls of water. The card world soldiers gave off a wave of power and fused with the walls of water. The countless fireballs continued to fly towards the card world's army, and explosions sounded out as shockwaves spread out. This time, the walls of water blocked the countless fireballs, and the card world's army slowly advanced. Hua Baiwu immediately gave the order to use the Sea of Flames tactic. The fire country's army received the order and took out buckets of black liquid before vigorously throwing them forwards. The buckets smashed onto the ground and shattered, causing countless amounts of black liquid to flow out. However, under the control of a formless power, the black liquid spread out on the ground, forming a massive liquid magic formation. Whoosh! This magic formation instantly burst into massive flames, forming a sea of flames that was 30 or so meters tall. Massive heat waves spread out, and the surrounding temperature could turn rocks into magma. The Card World's water walls were vaporized by the flames, and some Card World soldiers were covered by the flames and were instantly burned to ashes. The Card World's soldiers quickly retreated, and only a small portion of the Card World soldiers were injured or killed. Looking at the sea of flames, the Card World soldiers temporarily stopped attacking. They understood that the sea of flames would not last for too long, and they could continue attacking later. Chapter 3303. Book 1, Chapter 247 Inches the Harem. The white bird also came and asked anxiously, "What's wrong?" Did Qin reply? Hua Qingmei shook her head and said, "No, I think Qin's people are also discussing this." The white bird said angrily, "Can't they hurry up? Our fire country is about to collapse. If it weren't for my father, we would have been broken through. What's the point of them coming then?" Hua Dongmei said, "Don't be so anxious. This is not a small matter. Qin needs to be prepared before he can support us." Hua Qingmei said, "Well, now I just hope that Qin can hurry up." A female attendant hurriedly walked in with a letter and reported, "Your Majesty, this is a letter from Great Qin." Hearing this, Hua Dongmei smiled in surprise. She quickly opened the letter and read it, and her face darkened. Hua Qingmei asked in confusion, "What's the matter, mother?" Hua Dongmei gave the letter to Hua Qingmei. Hua Qingmei took the letter and read it, and her face darkened. The white bird frowned and said, "What's in the letter?" Hua Qingmei said, "Qin promised to send troops to support our fire country and asked us to try our best to hold on." The white bird said, "That's a good thing. Why are you still unhappy?" Hua Qingmei said, "Because Qin only sent 10 people." "What?" The white bird was stunned, and then said angrily, "Do they know how many enemies we are facing? Are they humiliating us by only sending 10 people? What's the use of these 10 people?" Hua Dongmei said, "I'm also curious about this. Either Qin didn't promise us, or why did he send 10 people? What's the use of them? Besides, we don't have any enmity with them, so they don't have to humiliate us." Hua Qingmei sighed. "If only he was here. He would definitely send troops to protect us." The white bird said, "When he comes back, we'll tell him about this." Hua Dongmei said with a headache, "We can talk about this later. Now, we need to think about how to defend Fire Country. If Fire Country is destroyed, we may not be able to escape." The sea of flames on this side had already been extinguished, and the ground was charred black with white smoke rising from it. The ground was still giving off massive amounts of heat. The card soldiers took out cards and turned them into streams of water that poured onto the ground, causing the temperature of the ground to return to normal. The card army continued to advance towards the fire country. The fire country side once again shot out countless fire arrows, raining down like a rain of fire. From the card world side, cards were thrown out one after another, forming walls of water that continued to push forward. Looking at the approaching army of the card world, Hua Baiwu had no choice but to use his trump card in advance. On the ground, a massive fire-colored magic array was activated. Countless streams of worldly powers flowed into it, and the magic array slowly spun. As the magic array absorbed more and more worldly powers, the aura it emanated grew stronger and stronger. Its surroundings were also enveloped in high temperature, and those who stood nearby felt as though they were inside a furnace. Xiao, a slender fiery beam, shot out from the center of the huge formation and disappeared into the sky. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the sky was covered by flames. A massive meteor dragged a flaming tail behind it, bringing with it a power that could destroy everything as it quickly descended. The sound it gave off shook the heavens and earth, causing people to feel intense fear and powerlessness. The Card World army was given a big fright by this move, and the commander immediately gave the order to take out all of the defensive cards. The many cards flew into the sky. At first, a massive earth barrier appeared, enveloping the many Kappa soldiers. Following this, a massive ice barrier condensed, enveloping the earth barrier. The outermost barrier was the wall of water. Now, the Card World's army had 3 layers of protection. Bang! The massive meteor quickly smashed down, causing a massive shock wave to spread out. The outermost wall of water instantly turned into countless water droplets and shot out, and the second layer of the ice barrier also shattered. The third layer of the earth barrier also shattered. At that moment, the meteor also shattered, causing countless pieces of ice and soil to fly out, and a massive gust of wind blew out. This scene was like a calamity descending, causing everyone to feel incredibly shocked and their minds to go blank. As a kingdom that had existed for many years, Fire Country's final killer move was definitely terrifying. The shock waves gradually calmed down, and there were large fragments scattered all around, with many Card World's corpses lying around. This attack caused many casualties to Coppa World's army. The Card World commander was furious and gathered his soldiers, and he also used a killer move. Countless cavalry appeared, and a powerful aura spread out. Huabaiwu's expression was grim. He knew that the Card World cavalry was the most powerful. Kill! The cavalry started to charge forward. Like an unstoppable sword, they rushed towards the Fire Country at an extremely fast speed. Bang! Bang! Giant lizards leapt out from the ground and attacked the cavalry. One lizard opened its mouth and bit a few cavalrymen. Another swung its tail and sent some cavalrymen flying. Some fire lizards used their bodies to knock the cavalrymen away. Because of the sudden attack from the ground, the cavalry corps' formation was disrupted, dispelling a wave of attacks from the cavalry corps. However, the cavalry corps quickly formed into groups and started to kill those fire lizards. A group of cavalry corps held spears and charged at a fire lizard, their spears giving off intense light and forming a massive spear image. Bang! The massive spear image sent the fire lizard flying, and a massive bloody hole appeared on its body, from which blood continuously flowed out. A group of cavalrymen sent their swords flying, and the swords gave off intense sword lights that formed massive swords. They gave off immense force as they descended, stabbing a fire lizard into the ground and killing it on the spot. Huabaiwu endured the pain as he watched this scene. These fire lizards were large creatures that Fire Country had painstakingly nurtured, and now that they were continuously being killed by the Card World's army, Huabaiwu felt quite bad. However, apart from this method, he had no other way to defend against the cavalry corps. Swish, 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 countless sounds of the air being torn could be heard as the Card World's army started to attack Fire Country. Arrows shot towards Fire Country's city walls, and some soldiers were accidentally hit and fell to the ground, crying out. Some soldiers were directly killed. Huabaiwu immediately gave the order to defend and counterattack. No matter what, he had to defend this place, or else Fire Country would be finished. The battle was incredibly intense, and many fire lizards died, while the cavalry corps also lost a portion of their cavalry corps. After the Card World's army suffered some casualties, they reached Fire Country's city walls and started to prepare to attack. Fire Country's side desperately counterattacked, sending arrows, stones, and fireballs toward the Card World's army. However, this could only slow down the Card World's army and could not stop them from advancing. Chapter 3304. Book 1. 248 At this moment, 10 figures arrived on a small hill. They were 10 skeleton cavalrymen riding on skeleton horses. Their bones were like jade, and they wore armor. Their bodies emitted a large amount of black and yellow aura. It was like a mist, and there were countless resentful spirits within it. They seemed like emissaries from the netherworld. They were the reinforcements that Sheen had sent, and they were existences that had affected Sheen's fate in the past. Before, they had many names, but now they were called Yellow Springs Cavalrymen. The 10 cavalrymen looked at the battlefield in front of them and drew the swords at their waists, raising them and pointing them at the sky. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out, shaking the heavens and earth. The two sides fighting were given a big fright and looked behind them. Countless traces of heaven and earth power gathered, forming a boundless might that suppressed the surroundings. A massive and ancient gate appeared in the sky. a massive wave of cold and eerie power spread out, causing countless people to feel a chill in their hearts. This was a massive gate that was dark yellow and made of wood. There was a wide river drawn on the gate. There were countless corpses floating inside. Both sides looked incredibly shocked. What is this? The skeleton cavalryman's most terrifying ability was undead disaster. Now that the skeleton cavalryman had become Yellow Springs cavalryman, undead disaster had also become Yellow Springs gates. The 10 Yellow Springs cavalrymen lowered their swords, and the massive Yellow Springs gates slowly opened. A massive wave of yellow aura flowed out, spreading out like a flood. It gave off an aura that seemed to be able to drown everything as it rushed forwards, giving off terrifying sounds. This caused the Fire Country's army and the Card World's army to immediately stop fighting and choose to defend. The yellow aura brought with it a terrifying aura as it flooded over, inundating countless soldiers before dissipating. This caused both sides to feel quite startled, and they felt as if nothing had happened. However, what happened next was even more terrifying. The countless corpses seemed to have lost all their water and became dry corpses. Their eyes became yellow, and they held weapons as they rushed at the countless Card World soldiers. A mummy held a saber and vigorously slashed out, sending a person flying. Another mummy slashed out, chopping off a person's arm. Another mummy held a spear and quickly stabbed out, piercing through a person's chest. One of the withered corpses roared and raised its large saber as it charged at a person. Another withered corpse held a bow and shot an arrow through a person's throat. Another withered corpse swung its spear and sent a person flying. A mummy ferociously rushed in front of a person and forcefully jumped, wanting to bite that person's body. That person screamed in pain and wanted to throw that person away, but the mummy firmly held onto that person. These mummies suddenly attacked the card soldiers. Because they were spread out, and because the card soldiers were not prepared, there were many casualties. What was even more terrifying was that the soldiers who were killed by the mummies quickly turned into mummies and attacked the others. On the city wall, Hwabaiwu looked at the chaos below in shock. He did not understand what was going on. At that moment, the many corpses on the city wall had also turned into mummies. The expressions of the Fire Country's countless people changed, and they wanted to attack these mummies. However, these mummies all jumped off the city wall and charged at the card soldiers, not seeming to have any intentions of attacking the Fire Country. The Fire Country's countless people all had strange looks on their faces. However, this was a good opportunity to retaliate against the Card World. Hwabaiwu hurriedly gave the order to attack. Swish, swish, swish. Sounds of the air being torn could be heard as fire arrows arced through the air, shooting towards the card soldiers like a rain of fire. Some card soldiers brandished their weapons to block, some used their shields to defend, while others were shot to death by the arrows. The dead soldiers immediately turned into mummies and attacked the card soldiers. The situation immediately became disadvantageous for the Card World. The many card soldiers did their best to attack the mummies. A card soldier vigorously slashed out with his saber and sent a mummy flying, but the mummy quickly stood up and continued to quickly charge. A card soldier chopped off a mummy's arm with his saber, but the mummy did not feel any pain and slashed back at the card soldier, causing blood to spurt out. A card soldier slashed out with his saber with all his strength. The saber brought with it a saber light that chopped off a mummy's head, but the headless mummy could continue to attack. This caused the Card World's army to fall into panic. This was a good thing for the Fire Country's army. The Fire Country's people looked happy and excited, and even though they did not know why, they continuously attacked the card soldiers. Fireballs flew into the Card World's army, causing explosions to sound out. Many card soldiers were blasted away, and some of the card soldiers who were blasted to death quickly turned into mummies, while others whose bodies were blasted to pieces did not. The Card World's generals saw that the army had suffered such great losses, and they ferociously looked at the massive Yellow Springs gate behind them. They understood that it was definitely caused by this Yellow Springs gate, and they ordered the cavalry to charge towards it. As long as they destroyed this Yellow Springs gate, they had a chance of winning. Boom! A group of hundreds of thousands of cavalry wielded spears as they quickly charged towards the back, giving off an unstoppable aura. The many mummies wanted to stop them, but they were sent flying by the cavalry. Some of the mummies were even smashed into pieces, looking quite shocking. Seeing that the card soldiers wanted to destroy the Yellow Springs Gate, the Fire Country's generals wanted to stop them, but they did not have the ability to. The cavalry was incredibly fast, and they were about to reach the Yellow Springs Gate. The 10 Yellow Springs cavalry did not feel any fear, and they once again raised their swords, causing a formless aura to spread out. Boom! A huge rumbling sound rang out as the huge Yellow Spring Gate emitted countless intense yellow lights that shone on the charging cavalry regiment. The cavalry only felt the blinding light, and in the next moment, their bodies lost all moisture as they gradually turned into mummies. The horses below them also quickly turned into mummies. In the blink of an eye, this cavalry turned into the Yellow Springs Cavalry Corps, which turned and attacked the Card World's army. The countless Card World's people looked incredibly shocked, and their minds went blank. Cavalry Corps were the most powerful army in the Card World, and they were not carefully chosen and had all sorts of equipment. Their defense and attack power were incredibly terrifying. So how had they suddenly turned into mummies? Boom! Before the Card World soldiers could think, the Yellow Springs Cavalry Corps gave off a terrifying aura as they attacked. Countless Card World soldiers were sent flying by this power, and some soldiers' bodies were torn apart. Lord's Weapon Conquering the Heavens. Please add it to my collection. Lord's Weapon Conquering the Heavens. Chapter 3305. Book 1 Hell. The Fire Country's army looked incredibly shocked. The Yellow Spring sect's power was simply too terrifying. If they charged over, the outcome would be even worse, as they were weaker than the Cavalry Corps. Seeing this, the Card World's generals could only give the order to retreat. Staying here would only result in more losses. Seeing the Card army retreat, Huabaiwu immediately gave the order to open the city gates and take the initiative to attack. Countless Fire Country's soldiers gave off powerful auras and rushed out, holding their weapons and attacking the Card soldiers. However, the corpses did not attack the Fire Country soldiers. One of the Fire Country soldiers threw out a long spear with all his might. The long spear drew an arc in the air, piercing through the chest of a Card soldier. Another Fire Country's soldier laughed out loud as he slashed out with his blade, killing another Card soldier. A Fire Country soldier caught up to a Card soldier and vigorously slashed his saber into that soldier's back, causing that soldier to cry out and fall to the ground. Another Fire Country soldier swung his sword and beheaded a Card soldier. Some Card soldiers stayed behind to resist, but facing the Fire Country's soldiers and corpses, they were not a match for them at all. They were quickly killed and turned into corpses. Rumble, the Yellow Springs Cavalry Corps, gave off terrifying auras as they rampaged through the battlefield, unstoppable. Countless Card soldiers died at their hands, and the Yellow Springs power they released made it so that the other Card World's cavalry did not dare to face them head-on. In the end, the Card World's army retreated from this region, suffering heavy losses, and they most likely would not dare to come here again. After the Fire Country's victory, countless people cheered, and the scene was incredibly lively. Huabaiwu also gave a trace of a smile and relaxed. He had thought that they would not be able to stop the Card army and that the Fire Country would be destroyed, but in the end, they had won and defeated the powerful Card army. Countless corpses gathered towards the Yellow Spring sect. The Fire Country's people were quite curious as to who had helped them. Without the Yellow Spring sect's help, they would not have been able to stop the Card army. So they followed the corpses towards the Yellow Springs sect. The corpses came before the 10 Yellow Springs cavalrymen, including the Yellow Springs Cavalry Corps of hundreds of thousands. The Yellow Springs cavalrymen put away their swords, and the massive Yellow Springs sect gradually disappeared, and the surroundings returned to normal. Huabaiwu and the other generals came over and looked at the Yellow Springs cavalrymen, giving off a powerful Yellow Springs aura with shocked expressions. That Yellow Spring Gate should have been summoned by them. Although there were only 10 of them, their power surpassed an army. Huabaiwu couldn't help but admire them. He even suspected that if the 10 of them attacked the Fire Nation wouldn't be able to stop them. Huabaiwu and some generals came before the Yellow Springs horsemen and smiled as he said, "Thank you for your help. May I ask which faction you belong to?" The leader of the Yellow Springs cavalry said coldly, "We are following General Bai's orders and are here to support your Fire Country." General Bai? Huabaiwu looked confused and asked, "Who is General Bai?" The Yellow Springs knight said coldly, "General Bai is the general who controls Qin now." Huabaiwu and the other generals were astonished. Wasn't Qin their enemy? Why was he still willing to help them now? Huabaiwu asked, "Are you really Qin's people?" There was a great enmity between Qin and Huabaiwu, and they were quite happy that Qin hadn't attacked Fire Country. They simply didn't believe that an enemy like Qin would help them at such a time of danger. The Yellow Springs cavalry said, "We were created by His Majesty, so we naturally belong to Qin." Hearing this, Huabaiwu's expression became complicated. He couldn't understand why Qin would help them at such a time. However, they owed Qin a favor this time. The Yellow Springs cavalry said, "Now that your crisis has been resolved, we will return to Qin." The Yellow Springs cavalry brought the corpses and walked towards Qin. The Fire Country's generals also felt complicated and couldn't understand why Qin would help them. Moreover, he didn't ask for anything. Huabaiwu said, "Let's go back as well." The generals nodded. News of Fire Country defeating the Card World's army quickly spread, and countless people started to celebrate. Huaqing smiled as she came to the palace. "Fire Country won." Fire Whitebird smiled as she said, "We already knew." Huaqing giggled as she said, "I really thought that Fire Country wouldn't be able to stop them. I heard that Qin only sent 10 people to help us defeat the Card World's army. I feel that their power is terrifying." Hua Dongmei nodded as she smiled and said, "We misunderstood Qin before. It seems that they still value us and didn't forget that guy's orders." Fire Whitebird smiled as she said, "When he comes back, we must thank him properly." Huaqing, Er's face turned red as she asked, "When will he come back?" Fire Whitebird smiled as she said, "We're not sure. Do you miss him?" Huaqing, Er's face turned red as she said, "I don't." Huaqing, Er's face turned red as she said, "I do miss him. So many days have passed without me knowing." Dongmei smiled as she said, "He has important things to do, so we should try to understand. Also, Great Qin coming to help our Fire Country has caused your father and many other people to feel quite surprised. Make sure not to reveal our relationship with him." Fire Whitebird smiled as she said, "We know." Huaqing sighed as she said, "If father knew, he would definitely feel terrible. We've all become that guy's woman. When can we solve this problem?" Dongmei said, "I don't know what to do either. We can only take it one step at a time." Fire Whitebird smiled as she said, "It's not bad to maintain things like this. This time, Qin has helped Fire Country so much. In the future, our relationship will become better. I can marry Qin, and at that time, Mother, you and I can go find him openly." Dongmei's face turned red as she rolled her eyes at Fire Whitebird. At that moment, the Yellow Springs cavalry brought a large number of corpses and the Yellow Springs cavalry corps back to Qin. Seeing this scene, Bai Qi revealed a shocked expression. He had only sent the Yellow Springs cavalry to support Fire Country. He had not expected that 10 of them would go out and bring back a large army. With hundreds of thousands of Yellow Springs cavalry, they would be able to achieve such a great effect. Right now, Bai Qi did not know the Yellow Springs cavalry's full strength. If it wasn't for him borrowing Zhao Fu's orders, the Yellow Springs cavalry might not have obeyed him. Looking at these corpses, Bai Qi thought about it and decided to arrange a place for Qin. He did not have the Yellow Springs cavalry return to the underworld. Now that they had advanced, there was no need for them to return to the underworld. In the future, they would follow Qin to conquer the world. Lord Soldiers Conquering the Heavens will continue to be updated on the handheld bar. There are no advertisements on the site, so please bookmark and recommend the handheld bar. If you like Lord Soldiers Conquering the Heavens, please bookmark Lord Soldiers Conquering the Heavens. Chapter 3306. Book 1. Chapter 250 translated by Hypersheep 325 edited by Mike here. Zhao Fu had arrived at the Mother Poison Water Abyss. This abyss was extremely wide, and one could not see the end of it. Strands of purple aura floated out from it, and the surroundings were completely silent without any signs of life. Zhao Fu and the Shadowfish clan members stood at the edge of the abyss. Kage reminded them, "This purple aura is extremely poisonous, so everyone must be careful." Everyone nodded and released their defensive barriers as they flew downwards. The purple poisonous aura quickly floated towards their defensive barriers and started to corrode them. Because they were all higher-level existences, this bit of poison did not pose any danger for the time being. However, as they continued to fly downwards, the poisonous aura became stronger and stronger, and its toxicity became more and more terrifying. Chi, chi, chi. The poisonous aura corroded the defensive barriers, causing them to become riddled with holes, making them look extremely ugly. However, the poisonous aura did not corrode the defensive barriers. Suddenly, a transparent tentacle attacked and lightly swept past them, immediately cutting open a hole in their defensive barriers, and the poisonous aura quickly flowed in. Everyone was startled, and they hurriedly released their power to repair their defensive barriers. Kage said, "This is the aquatic poison queen of the Mother Poison Water Abyss. Its toxicity is even stronger, and its attacks are very stealthy, making it difficult to detect. Back then, I was poisoned by aquatic poison queen." Everyone's expressions became serious. Zhao Fu asked, "Is the omniscient water world at the bottom of this place?" Kage said, "No, it's in the hands of a massive aquatic poison queen. Back then, it snatched this thing from outside, and it can now use a portion of the 8-direction water world's power." Zhao Fu said, "Are we looking for this aquatic poison queen?" Kage replied, "Yes, I reckon that it's in the depths of the abyss, but it might not reach the bottom." Zhao Fu nodded. "Let's continue." Everyone gave off a powerful aura as they continued to fly downwards. At this time, a few transparent tentacles gently swept toward them. Yinglian took out a dagger and slashed forward with an arc of light. Surprisingly, the sharp arc of light couldn't cut through the transparent tentacles. The tentacles looked very soft. Yinglian was shocked. She didn't expect that the sharp arc of light couldn't cut through the transparent tentacles. Although it was unable to cut through those tentacles, it caused them to quickly retract. Bang! At the bottom of the abyss, a huge purple balloon of poison quickly rose up and exploded. Countless poisonous gas spread out. Everyone's defensive barriers were quickly corroded by the poisonous gas, and a large amount of poisonous gas surged towards them. Kage pair coldly harumphed, and a powerful energy spread out. A powerful black wave of light swept away the surrounding poison gas. A few purple poison balloons quickly rose from the bottom of the abyss. Shadow Pair stretched out his hand and made a grabbing motion. A few huge fish shadows appeared and swam downwards rapidly. They opened their mouths and swallowed all the poisonous gas balls into their bodies. After that, they turned into countless black shadows and dissipated. A few transparent tentacles shot towards Yingli. Yingli slashed with the dagger, and an invisible blade swung forward. This time, the tentacle was cut off, but purple blood flowed out, and the tentacle continued to fly toward Yingli. Kage pair immediately released her defense, but it was corroded by the purple blood and continued to shoot towards her. Yingli dodged to the side to avoid the attack. Many huge poisonous balloons continued to rise from below. With a cold face, Yingli made a cut on her palm and waved it forward. Many poisonous gas balls were swallowed by a black shadow. Swish! A huge arrow condensed from poisonous gas was shot at Kage pair at a high speed with great power. At that moment, Yingdi acted. She pointed out with her hand, and a black light shot out, colliding with the arrow and causing another explosion. Many transparent tentacles started to stretch towards the group from all directions. Yingli continuously swung the dagger in her hand, sending out formless blades that cut off many of the tentacles. The others also acted. After the tentacles were cut off, purple blood continuously flowed out. The blood floated into the water, forming balls of purple blood that shot towards the group. Ing Li and the others understood that the blood contained venom and could not be touched. They sent out waves of power and sent the blood flying. Swish, 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 giant arrows condensed from poisonous gas shot towards the group of people, bringing with them a powerful force. Boom! Ing Li exploded out with her higher being level power and vigorously slapped out with her palm. A massive black palm containing immense power smashed apart the arrows. However, the power that Ing Li exploded out with caused the surrounding poisonous gas to boil and become chaotic. Even more poisonous gas balloons and arrows formed from poisonous gas continuously shot towards the group, giving off terrifying sounds. Everyone released their higher being power, and waves of power blasted toward the poisonous gas, destroying the poisonous gas balloons and arrows. However, this did not reduce the number of poisonous gas balloons and arrows, and they covered the heavens and earth as they continued to shoot towards the group. In the end, the group could only temporarily retreat from the source poison water abyss. Inya frowned. This source poison water abyss is more difficult to deal with than we thought. I never thought that releasing higher being power would cause such a commotion. Ingfei said after thinking for a while, looks like we have to be careful and not just enter like that. Inkage said, let's try again. Ing Lian said, with so many of us going in, we'll definitely attract attention. Zhao Fu said, I'll go in by myself. You can all go back. Inkage looked at Zhao Fu and said, are you sure? Zhao Fu nodded. I think there shouldn't be a problem. Ing Li smiled as she said, all right, let's go back. I believe that with his abilities, there won't be any danger. Inkage said caringly, be careful. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Ing Lian and the others left, and Zhao Fu waited for a while for the bottom of the source poison water abyss to calm down before slowly diving in. In order to be more stealthy, Zhao Fu did not even activate his defensive barrier because the poison was useless against Zhao Fu. Now, the source poison water abyss was quite calm and only continuously gave off poisonous gas. There were no poisonous gas balloons or arrows attacking. So compared to before, Zhao Fu was much safer. They continued to fly downwards. At that moment, Zhao Fu saw a massive jellyfish. This jellyfish's body was transparent, and its crown gave off a purple light. It also had countless tentacles, and it gently floated in the water, looking quite beautiful. The jellyfish in front of them was most likely not the jellyfish that had attacked them. This jellyfish was not very powerful, and its strength was about the same as Zhao Fu's. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and stretched out his hand, causing countless chains to shoot towards the jellyfish and bind it up. With this jellyfish leading the way, it would be much easier for Zhao Fu. Chapter 3307. Book 1. Chapter 251. The jellyfish struggled a few times in panic, but found that it could not break free. It looked at the man and said angrily, "Why are you tying me up?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I need you to do something for me. If you do it well, I'll let you go and give you some benefits." The jellyfish said angrily, "I won't agree. If you don't let me go, I'll call for help." Zhao Fu released a barrier and smiled as he said, "It's useless even if you call for help." The jellyfish did not speak, and it looked as if it had given in. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I just want you to help me find a jellyfish. This shouldn't be difficult for you." The jellyfish did not speak. Zhao Fu said, "I've given you a chance. If you don't agree, I'll have to control you by force." The jellyfish still did not speak. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand, and a powerful force flowed out of Zhao Fu's hand towards the jellyfish. At that moment, many tentacles shot toward Zhao Fu. Although Zhao Fu reacted quickly, he was unable to dodge these tentacles. A larger jellyfish appeared and swung its tentacles, cutting off many of Zhao Fu's chains. The smaller jellyfish lightly harumphed. "You said that it's useless for me to call for help? Now that my grandma is here, what can you do?" Zhao Fu was tightly bound by the tentacles, and he looked quite awkward. He had released a barrier, so there should not be any power leaking out. How had this jellyfish sent out information? The large jellyfish spoke in the voice of an injured woman in her 30s. Why did you help my granddaughter? What's your purpose? The small jellyfish said. He said that he wanted me to help him find a jellyfish. The large jellyfish continued to speak. What jellyfish are you looking for? Zhao Fu felt a headache coming on, and he hesitated as to whether or not he should reveal his purpose. The small jellyfish said, Grandma, seal his power and give him to me as a toy. Apart from our kind, this is the first time I've seen someone from another race stay here without a barrier. Hearing this, the jellyfish felt quite strange and asked, How can you not use a defensive barrier here? Zhao Fu explained, I was born with an anti-poison physique, so I can stay here. The large jellyfish said, Really? Very few people are immune to the poison of our purple moon jellyfish. Since you are of some use, I will spare your life for now. The many tentacles that were wrapped around Zhao Fu injected a wave of power into Zhao Fu's body, restricting Zhao Fu's power. Then, it threw Zhao Fu to the small jellyfish. The small jellyfish grinned and tied up Zhao Fu with its tentacles. Do you dare to be like before? Zhao Fu smiled awkwardly. I wouldn't dare. The careful jellyfish snorted softly. At least you know your place. The large jellyfish said, Let's go back. The small jellyfish said, Okay, and Grandma, why did you come so quickly? I thought it would take a while. The large jellyfish said, Before, there were many higher beings who wanted to barge in here, so I was patrolling around. Hearing this, Zhao Fu knew that the large jellyfish was talking about them. Luckily, they had waited for the ripples to subside, or else they would have been caught. The small jellyfish asked curiously, Why did so many higher beings come here to sit? The large jellyfish replied, I'm not sure either. Your mother fought with them before, so she should know. She was also slightly injured. The small jellyfish said in concern, Then let's quickly go back. The two jellyfish brought Zhao Fu downstream, and they met other jellyfish along the way. In the end, they came to a massive temple. This temple was very tall and was made of white marble. There were exquisite carvings on the walls, and it looked quite majestic. The two jellyfish gradually turned into human forms. One was a young girl with exquisite features, long hair, and countless thin tentacles. She had a pair of purple eyes, and her body was transparent like jelly. The other was a mature woman who seemed to be in her 30s. Her hair was also made of countless thin tentacles, and she had a graceful figure and an enchanting aura. Her body was also transparent like jelly. One was called Jellyfish Moon, and the other was called Jellyfish One. Jellyfish Moon's transparent tentacles pulled Zhao Fu, and Jellyfish went into the temple. Inside, there was a beautiful woman with a cold face. She looked just like the other two, but her hair was like long tentacles and her body was like jelly. She was called Jellyfish Yen. Jellyfish Moon asked, Mother, I heard that you were injured. Are you all right? Jellyfish Yen smiled and said, I'm fine. Jellyfish Yen looked at Zhao Fu and asked, Why did you bring someone back? Because they were facing 9 higher beings. Jellyfish Yen had only used her tentacles to attack from afar. Her cultivation was only at the half-step higher being level, so she did not know what Shadow Lotus and the others looked like. Jellyfish Moon laughed and said, This fellow wanted to bully me, but was caught by Granny. Jellyfish Yen did not mind Zhao Fu and asked, Mother, how was your patrol? Jellyfish One said, They most likely left and did not enter the water abyss again. Jellyfish Yen said, Fortunately, our water abyss has a geographical advantage and can use the purple moon poison. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to stop 9 higher beings. Jellyfish One said, Why did 9 higher beings want to enter the water abyss? Jellyfish Yen said, I'm not sure either. The reason they did not know was right beside them, and it was all because of Zhao Fu. Jellyfish One said, We need to quickly break through in order to prevent them from entering again. If we startle them, we'll suffer great losses. Jellyfish Yen said seriously, I know. Jellyfish Moon laughed and said, Mother, Granny, I'm going down to play. Jellyfish Yen smiled and said, Go ahead. I also have something to discuss with your granny. Jellyfish Moon pulled Zhao Fu and ran to the side. Zhao Fu wanted to stay and obtain more information, as they seemed to be quite afraid of something. Zhao Fu said, "Let go of me." Jellyfish Moon laughed and said, "I'm not letting go. Why didn't you let go of me when I told you to?" Zhao Fu laughed and said, "I can give you many good things to play with. You've probably stayed in the water abyss and never came out, right? I've been everywhere and collected many good things." Jellyfish Moon stared at Zhao Fu and said, "You can't lie to me." Zhao Fu laughed and said, "I don't even have any power now. I really didn't lie to you, right?" Jellyfish Moon released the tentacles binding Zhao Fu and said, "Take them out and see what's good. If I'm not satisfied, I'll tie you up again and hang you up." Zhao Fu waved his hand and many toys, strange things, gems, and accessories appeared in front of Jellyfish Moon. Seeing these things, Jellyfish Moon happily ran over to take a look. She had never seen these things before, but she liked them very much. Zhao Fu laughed and said, "How is it? Did I lie to you?" Jellyfish Moon said happily, "No, these things belong to me." Zhao Fu nodded and said, "All right." Chapter 3308 Book 1 Chapter 252 Zhao Fu said, "Then can I walk around here?" Jellyfish Moon thought for a moment and said, "Sure, but you can only stay near my room. Otherwise, don't blame me if you're eaten by other jellyfish." Zhao Fu nodded and left the room, planning to investigate the whereabouts of the 8-directional water world. Arriving at a study, Zhao Fu looked around for a while. He didn't learn much, but he understood the origin of the Purple Moon jellyfish clan. This water abyss had always been releasing a type of poison. This poison was called the Purple Moon poison. It had existed since the beginning of the water abyss. It was also called the Purple Moon water abyss. It was rumored that if one entered the depths of the abyss, they would see a purple moon. Later on, a group of jellyfish came to live in the abyss and gradually adapted to this poison. Those jellyfish became the Purple Moon jellyfish, which also contained great poison. The most poisonous part of the Purple Moon jellyfish was the poisonous blood in their bodies. Zhao Fu had seen this with his own eyes, so he knew how powerful it was. In the end, the Purple Moon jellyfish reproduced monogamously. This was the same for the Shadowfish clan. After leaving the study, Zhao Fu continued his search. Jellyfish Yin walked out from the side and looked at Zhao Fu with a frown. "Why are you here?" Zhao Fu said calmly, "I was just strolling around." Jellyfish Yin said coldly, "Is this a place you can stroll around? Go back to my daughter's room now. Don't let this happen again." Zhao Fu didn't mind and said, "Oh, I know." Seeing Zhao Fu's attitude, Jellyfish Yin said angrily, "Do you think I won't punish you?" Zhao Fu thought for a moment and said, "I have a method that can help you cultivate. It will be very helpful for you to increase your cultivation. Do you want to try it?" Jellyfish Yin said disdainfully, "You?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Of course." Jellyfish Yin said, "What proof do you have?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Try it and you will know. I can definitely help you cultivate. If you're not satisfied with the results, you can do whatever you want." Jellyfish Yin said, "I won't believe the words of a mere emptiness realm expert like you." Zhao Fu said provocatively, "You don't dare, do you?" Jellyfish Yin said angrily, "You think I don't dare?" Zhao Fu said with a smile, "So what if I think you don't dare? Give it a try if you dare." Jellyfish Yin said angrily, "All right, I'll give it a try. If it doesn't work, I'll definitely teach you a lesson." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Let's go." Jellyfish Yin had a strange look on her face as she followed Zhao Fu into the room. After half a day, Zhao Fu looked at Jellyfish Yin, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground, and said with a smile, "How is it? Is it very effective?" Jellyfish Yin snorted, "I didn't expect you to be immune to my poison. I underestimated you this time." When they entered the room, Zhao Fu told them the method. Jellyfish Yin said with a cold smile that Zhao Fu was courting death. Their sweat and saliva all contained poison, and the higher one's cultivation, the stronger the poison. However, even though she was a half-step almighty expert, She was not affected by Zhao Fu at all. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Since I'm helping you cultivate, shouldn't you give me some benefits?" Jellyfish Yin said, "Tell me, what do you want?" Zhao Fu said, "I heard that there's an 8-sided water world in the jellyfish abyss. Is that true?" Jellyfish Yin said with a cold smile, "I knew that you're not so simple. The news is true, but that thing is in its hands. Do you dare to take it?" Zhao Fu asked, "Who is it?" Jellyfish Yin said, "You can investigate it yourself, but it's a taboo in the jellyfish abyss. No one dares to talk about it, or else they'll die." Zhao Fu frowned and said, "Then I'll be leaving." Jellyfish Yin said, "All right, you can go. In the future, come here at night to help me cultivate." Zhao Fu said discontentedly, "You still want to? It's fine if I don't want to, but do you know how hard it's been for me? I haven't even received any rewards." Jellyfish Yin looked at Zhao Fu and threw a piece of jade to Zhao Fu, saying, "With this, you can walk around here without worrying about being attacked by other jellyfishes. Is this okay now?" Zhao Fu held the piece of jade and felt that it was very cold, and he smiled and said, "That's more like it." After leaving the room, Zhao Fu walked around. Because he had the jade, he did not have to worry, and after familiarizing himself with the area, he saw some jellyfishes. Zhao Fu found that the purple moon jellyfishes were very large, but there were not many of them. Zhao Fu found that they were not at the bottom of the water abyss, but in the middle of the water abyss, and there was still a long way to go. At night, Zhao Fu went to Jellyfish Yan's room. Jellyfish Yan looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Let's begin." The two of them did not say much and continued to intensely dual cultivate. The next day, Zhao Fu left Jellyfish Yan's room and went to Jellyfish Moon's room, wanting to obtain some information from her. Seeing Zhao Fu arrive, Jellyfish Moon's face became red. Zhao Fu smiled and asked, "What is it?" Jellyfish Moon said embarrassedly, "What were you doing with my mother last night? Why was my mother so happy?" Last night, Jellyfish Moon had wanted to find her mother, but she had seen the two of them cultivating. Because of parthenogenesis, she did not understand these things. Zhao Fu lightly smiled and said, "Do you want to try?" Jellyfish Moon said in delight, "Can I?" Zhao Fu nodded. Jellyfish Moon said impatiently, "Let's hurry up and start." A few hours later, Jellyfish Moon nestled in Zhao Fu's embrace, and Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Now you know why, right?" Jellyfish Moon shyly nodded. Zhao Fu smiled and asked, "I'm doing something for you. Do you know who Jellyfish Water Abyss is? Why don't you dare to mention it?" Jellyfish Moon said softly, "Its water abyss is taboo. Its brain has been corroded by the purple moon poison, and it will go into a state of madness from time to time. Some of our clansmen have died at its hands, and its power is extremely terrifying. We can only try our best to avoid it." Zhao Fu understood and nodded. Jellyfish Moon reminded, "You have to be careful in the future. Don't talk about it anywhere else, or else it will kill you. Even my mother won't be able to save you." Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Okay, I understand." He indeed had to be careful. If it was in a rational state, it might be possible to solve it, but in a state where it could go crazy at any time, no matter who went over, they would die. The door was pushed open. Jellyfish One was stunned when she saw the messy scene. Then she angrily said to Zhao Fu, "You brat, I'll kill you right now." Jellyfish Moon hurriedly said, "Grandma, wait." Jellyfish One said angrily, "How could you do such a thing with him? Did he lie to you?" Jellyfish Moon shook her head and said, "No, I was the one who asked him to do it. Also, Grandma, you don't have to worry about me. I'll handle it myself." Jellyfish One said worriedly, "I'm worried that this brat will lie to you." Chapter 3309. Book 1, Chapter 253. Jellyfish Moon said, "Didn't lie to me. Grandma, do you want to give it a try?" Jellyfish One rolled her eyes at Jellyfish Moon. "I won't try." Jellyfish Moon pulled Jellyfish One and said, "Grandma, I promise that you will be satisfied and happy. I like it now." Jellyfish One shook her head. "I won't steal your man." Jellyfish Moon said with a red face, "This isn't stealing men. Our jellyfish race doesn't need men. We can reproduce on our own. Grandma, just give it a try." Hearing this, Jellyfish One said, "I'll poison him to death." Jellyfish Moon shook her head. Grandma, you won't poison him to death. I think he has been like this with my mother for a long time. Jellyfish One was shocked. With your mother? Jellyfish Moon nodded. Jellyfish One looked at Zhao Fu. What method did you use? Why is my daughter like you too? She was a little surprised that Jellyfish Moon acted like this, and thought that she had been fooled. But why was Jellyfish Yin like this too? Zhao Fu smiled and said, she asked me to help her cultivate. Jellyfish One asked curiously, what do you mean? Zhao Fu smiled and said, you can reap great benefits if you dual cultivate with me. Jellyfish One was shocked. You have such an ability? Zhao Fu smiled and said, yeah, do you want to give it a try? You can do whatever you want if it doesn't work. Jellyfish One didn't want to do this with Zhao Fu, but she was a little moved when she heard this. They didn't need men, and their views were different. Jellyfish Moon said, Grandma, just give it a try. Jellyfish One let out a sigh. All right, I'll give it a try. After a while, Jellyfish Moon looked at Jellyfish One and smiled. Grandma, I didn't lie to you, did I? Jellyfish One's face turned red, and she rolled her eyes at Jellyfish Moon. After that, Jellyfish One smiled and said, my physique and bloodline have improved a lot. What's the reason? Zhao Fu smiled and said, I didn't lie to you, did I? Jellyfish One smiled and said, yes, you really didn't lie to me. Thank you this time. Zhao Fu said, you're welcome. I also have something that I need your help with. I want to know more about it. Jellyfish One said, what do you want to do? Zhao Fu said, I heard that it has an 8-directional water world. I want to get it first. Jellyfish One was shocked. Do you want to die? Even I have to retreat when I see it. You are just an emptiness realm expert. It can easily turn you into nothingness. Don't think that you are not afraid just because you are immune to poison. Its cultivation might be at the half-immortal realm. Zhao Fu was also a little surprised. Its cultivation is so high. Jellyfish One said, so I advise you to behave yourself and not provoke it. Zhao Fu smiled and said, I understand, but I still have to give it a try. You don't have to worry about me. Jellyfish One snorted. Who would worry about you? Jellyfish Moon smiled and said, I'm worried about him. He gave me a lot of fun things, and I could do this with him every day. Jellyfish One felt helpless. Zhao Fu asked, is it in the depths of the water abyss now? Does it have any weaknesses? Also, it is a half-immortal. Why would it go crazy? Jellyfish One explained, it is in the deepest part of the water abyss. We don't know much about its weaknesses. The reason it became like this is related to the 8-directional water world. Zhao Fu said in surprise, what does it have to do with the 8-directional water world? The 8-directional water world shouldn't make people go crazy. Jellyfish One said, although the 8-directional water world has supreme power, almost no one can possess this power. In order to obtain this power, the 8-directional water world needs to recognize it as its master. In the past, its cultivation was only at the almighty realm. After obtaining the 8-directional water world, it tried many methods to make the 8-directional water world recognize it as its master. Although it obtained a part of the 8-directional water world's power, its brain was eroded by poison. Therefore, it would go crazy from time to time. Zhao Fu understood. So this was the reason. He asked with concern, what will happen if I want to fly into the depths of the water abyss? Jellyfish One said, you might be turned into minced meat by countless hands before you reach the depths of the water abyss. Usually, we don't dare to go there. Zhao Fu said, is there no other way to go to the depths of the water abyss? Jellyfish One thought for a moment. If you can get the help of our clan leader, there's a chance that you can reach the depths of the water abyss or even get close to it. When it is not going crazy, it will give the clan leader some names. Once it goes crazy, no one will be able to help it. Zhao Fu asked, where's your clan leader? Jellyfish One said with a smile, I happen to have a good relationship with the clan leader. Zhao Fu said, can you bring me to see her? Jellyfish One laughed lightly. Why should I help you? It seems like you have only been here for a few days. Now I wonder what your identity is? Jellyfish One said, Granny, I don't think he is a bad person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given me so many things. He even helped you improve your physique and strength. Jellyfish One said, I know he is not a bad person. Otherwise, I would have dealt with him long ago. Seeing that Jellyfish One did not reject her, Zhao Fu said, "What do I need to do to see the clan leader?" Jellyfish One said with a smile, "It depends on your performance." Zhao Fu hugged Jellyfish One and said with a smile, "I will perform well right now." Jellyfish One laughed. She had not been this happy in a long time. Jellyfish Yin heard some noise and walked into the room. When she saw the scene in front of her, she sighed slightly. Jellyfish One said with a smile, "Mother, you are here too." Jellyfish Yin asked, "When did you guys do this to him? He didn't lie to you, right?" Jellyfish One shook her head. "No." Jellyfish One looked at her daughter walking in and felt a little shy. Jellyfish One held Jellyfish Yin and said with a smile, "Mother, let's go together." A day later, Zhao Fu looked at the three women in his arms and said with a smile, "Are you satisfied now? Can you bring me to see the clan leader?" Jellyfish Yin asked curiously, "What?" Jellyfish One briefly recalled what happened just now. Jellyfish Yin looked at Zhao Fu in shock. "Are you sure you want to go to the bottom of the water abyss?" Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Yes, I must obtain the water world of the 8 sides." Jellyfish Yin said, "What if we bring you to see the clan leader? Our water abyss has always prohibited others from entering. Your current identity is just a toy. If the clan leader sees you and kills you, she might even punish us." Zhao Fu said, "Then do you have a way for me to safely go to the depths of the water abyss?" Jellyfish Yin nodded. "That's why I told you not to go. Can't you just stay here obediently? Right now, the 3 of us are all yours." Zhao Fu said with determination, "I must go. Please bring me to see the clan leader. Maybe I can convince her." Jellyfish Yin looked at Zhao Fu and said, "All right." Chapter 33:10. Book 1, Chapter 254. Jellyfish Yin brought Zhao Fu to another shrine. Sitting above was a tall, dignified, and beautiful woman wearing a purple crown. She was the chief Jellyfish Yin. Seeing Jellyfish Yin bring Zhao Fu in, Jellyfish Yin frowned. "Isn't there a rule in the clan that no one is allowed in? Why did you bring a man in front of me?" Jellyfish Yin said, "I didn't want to bring him here. He wanted to come." Jellyfish Yin looked at Zhao Fu in surprise. Zhao Fu went up and said respectfully, "Greetings, Chief." Jellyfish Yin said, "Tell me what you want. If there's nothing, I'll kill you." Zhao Fu said, "I want Chief to take me to the depths of the water abyss." Jellyfish Yin said with a cold expression, "The depths of the water abyss? Do you know what's at the depths of the water abyss? You dare to ask me to take you there?" Zhao Fu said, "Of course I know. Chief, I'm sure you want to solve its problem." Jellyfish Yin said with slight disdain, "Do you have a way?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I do have a way to try, but I'm not 100% confident." Jellyfish Yin laughed and said, "Why should I believe you?" Zhao Fu smiled confidently and stretched out a hand. An 8 sides water world appeared, giving off a blue light. Jellyfish Yin looked stunned. Jellyfish Yin, who was standing by the side, was also very shocked. She had never thought that Zhao Fu would have an 8 sides water world. They did not know that Zhao Fu already had 5. Jellyfish Yin looked at Zhao Fu and asked seriously, "You made this 8 sides water world recognize you as its master?" Zhao Fu nodded. Jellyfish Yin said, "How did you do it?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "It's very simple for me. Can you believe me now?" Jellyfish Yin said, "Our clan is often threatened by it, so solving its problem is the most important thing for our clan. If you can really solve it, I'll give you a big reward." Zhao Fu said, "I will try my best." The jellyfish whispered, "Now let's go." Zhao Fu nodded. The 3 of them arrived at a cliff. Below them was a stretch of darkness, an even deeper water abyss. Jellyfish Yin looked at Zhao Fu worriedly and said, "Are you confident? It's not too late to change your mind. Isn't it better to stay with us?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I won't die so easily. When I come back, I'll give you guys something good." Jellyfish, who was watching from the side, frowned and said, "What's your relationship now?" Jellyfish Yin reacted and said, "He is my daughter's plaything." The jellyfish whispered, "I don't think so. According to the rules of the clan, no one is allowed to enter, not even playthings. However, I'll let go this time. If there's a next time, you'll have to accept punishment. Jellyfish Yin replied, I know. Zhao Fu smiled and said, don't blame him. It's my fault. If you want to punish someone, punish me. Jellyfish Yin looked at Zhao Fu and felt that Zhao Fu was quite responsible. Jellyfish Yin said, all right, let's go down together. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. The two of them flew down together. Jellyfish Yin stood at the edge of the cliff and watched the two of them leave. After flying for a while, Zhao Fu asked, it will go crazy from time to time. How do you judge now? Jellyfish Yin explained, when it goes crazy, it will make a lot of noise. I don't dare to go near it. I can only go there when it's calm. Whoosh! Just as Jellyfish Yin finished speaking, countless streams of water gathered together, forming a huge whirlpool that seemed to be able to destroy everything. The numerous whirlpools produced a huge suction force, and Jellyfish Yin and Zhao Fu's bodies were sucked in. Jellyfish Yin looked surprised. She did not expect that it would go crazy right after she finished speaking. Jellyfish Yin could only bring Zhao Fu back. Jellyfish Yin looked at the two of them and asked curiously, why did you come back? Zhao Fu said, there's a huge whirlpool below. It should be because it went crazy and cannot go near there. Jellyfish Yin said, it usually goes crazy for 3 to 4 days. We'll wait for 3 to 4 days for it to go down. Zhao Fu nodded. Jellyfish Yin smiled and said, then let's go back. Zhao Fu smiled and said, in. Jellyfish Yin said, he can't go back now. He has to stay by my side. I need to observe him for a few days. Hearing this, Jellyfish Yin said, that's fine. I don't think Chief will harm it, right? Jellyfish Yin said, I won't do that. Right now, he's very useful to our clan, so why would I harm him? Jellyfish Yin revealed a meaningful smile and said, Chief, you have to be careful. Jellyfish Yin said curiously, what do you mean? Jellyfish Yin smiled and said, leave this place. Jellyfish Yin brought Zhao Fu back to her god palace and said, stay here for a few days and wait for it to calm down before we go down. Zhao Fu smiled and said, sure. After Jellyfish Yin left, Zhao Fu started to walk around the god palace. There seemed to be many god palaces here, and it seemed that they all had god palaces. At that moment, a woman with short hair and a seductive figure walked in. Seeing Zhao Fu, she said in shock, why are you here by yourself? Zhao Fu said, Chief told me to stay here. The woman asked curiously, it's good enough that my mother didn't kill you. Why did she leave you in the god palace? This woman was called Jellyfish Z, and she was Chief Jellyfish Yan's daughter. Zhao Fu smiled and said, because my abilities are special. Do you want to give it a try? Jellyfish Z smiled and said, sure. 2 hours later, Jellyfish Yin came back and looked at the scene in front of her. She felt a headache and suddenly understood what Jellyfish Yin meant. Sitting on Zhao Fu's body, Jellyfish Z said with a red face, Mother, you're back? Jellyfish Yin said, how could you do that with him? Jellyfish Z did not know why, but she said with a red face, Mother, I didn't do anything wrong. Didn't you do that with him? Recently, I've been using a reading app. There are many sources of books, and it's updated very quickly. Jellyfish Yin said, I didn't. Jellyfish Z looked at Zhao Fu and understood that Zhao Fu had lied to her. She raised her hand and hit Zhao Fu. Stinky fellow, you lied to me. Zhao Fu smiled and said, what can you do now? Jellyfish Z lightly harumphed and said, I'll bite you. Zhao Fu immediately picked up Jellyfish Z. Seeing this, Jellyfish Yin said angrily, do you want to continue? Jellyfish Z nodded shyly and said, Mother, do you want to give it a try? I've never thought that a man would be so happy. Jellyfish Z said, you can continue. Jellyfish Z left. Zhao Fu smiled as he hugged Jellyfish Z and said, then let's continue. Jellyfish Z hit Zhao Fu and said, it's all your fault for making Mother angry. Make her happy later, or I'll beat you up. Chapter 33:11. Book 1. Chapter 255. Hearing these sounds, Jellyfish Sophie felt distraught and could not think at ease. After a while, Zhao Fu walked in with a smile. Jellyfish Sophie glared at Zhao Fu. Why are you here? Don't wear your clothes. Hurry up and get out. Zhao Fu smiled and said, I wonder if Patriarch is curious about the power of the water world in all directions. Jellyfish Sophie looked at Zhao Fu and asked, What do you mean? Zhao Fu smiled and said, If Patriarch is curious about the water world in all directions, I can give you a part of it. It will be of great help to you. Jellyfish Sophie asked, Really? Zhao Fu smiled and said, Try it and you'll know. Jellyfish Sophie said, If it doesn't work, then I'll deal with you. Half a day later, Jellyfish Sophie looked at the octagonal mark on her chest and said in surprise, This is the water seal of all directions? Zhao Fu nodded. You didn't even give this to Jellyfish Yen. Jellyfish Sophie chuckled. You did well. Zhao Fu said, I'll leave first. You stay here and familiarize yourself with the power of the water world in all directions. Jellyfish Sophie said unhappily, Why are you leaving so quickly? Are you going to harm other people again? Our tribe is unlucky to meet you. Zhao Fu smiled and said, How unlucky? I'm bringing good luck to you. Jellyfish Sophie snorted. You can leave, but don't go too far. Be careful, or I'll take care of you, understand? Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Following that, Zhao Fu returned to Jellyfish Yan's temple. Jellyfish Yan looked at Zhao Fu and asked curiously, Are you staying with Patriarch for a few days? Why are you back? Zhao Fu revealed a naughty smile and said, What do you think? Jellyfish Yan quickly understood and said, Patriarch looks quite decent. Why is she like you? Zhao Fu smiled and said, I gave her the water seal of all directions. Jellyfish Yin snorted, Why didn't you get it to me? Zhao Fu walked up and hugged Jellyfish Yin as he smiled and said, I'll give it to you now. Tell Jellyfish Moon and Jellyfish One to come out together. Jellyfish Yin smiled happily and agreed. After giving them the 8 directions water seal, Zhao Fu had nothing to do, so he walked around in boredom. Suddenly, hearing the cries, Zhao Fu curiously walked over and saw a mature-looking woman holding a baby and feeding it. The woman's name was Jellyfish White. She looked at Zhao Fu and asked curiously, Why are you here? Zhao Fu smiled and said, I'm a guest of your clan. Jellyfish Bai said, Really? That's rare. Zhao Fu looked at Jellyfish Bai. Sensing Zhao Fu's gaze, Jellyfish Bai turned around and said shyly, You're still looking. Zhao Fu smiled and hugged Jellyfish Bai. Let me take a look. What's wrong? Jellyfish Bai said angrily, You be ***, let go of me. Zhao Fu smiled and said, I won't let go. What can you do? Your strength doesn't seem to be as strong as mine. Jellyfish Bai snorted, Try it then. Don't blame me if I poison you to death. Zhao Fu smiled and said, Remember what you said. After that, Jellyfish Bai looked at Zhao Fu in surprise and said, Why are you fine? Zhao Fu laughed and said, You silly woman, don't you see that I don't have any defense at all? Why can I stay here? Jellyfish Bai understood. You're immune to poison? Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Jellyfish Bai said angrily, Then I'll tell the chief about this and let him do justice for me and punish you. Zhao Fu smiled and said, You can go now. The chief is also one of my people. Jellyfish Bai said in shock, Chief too? Zhao Fu smiled and said, Yeah, why was I like this just now? It's because the chief is supporting me. Don't you? Jellyfish Bai looked at Zhao Fu angrily and did not say anything. She could not defeat Zhao Fu, and the chief was also one of Zhao Fu's people. She did not know what she should do. Zhao Fu comforted her and said, I'll be responsible for you. This time, I came to solve a big problem. Jellyfish Bai's attitude became slightly better, and she asked, What problem? Zhao Fu said, It's the one in the depths of the water abyss. Jellyfish Bai said in shock, You have such an ability? No wonder the chief is also one of your people. If you can really solve this problem for our tribe, I won't blame you. Zhao Fu forcefully smiled as he said, Be my woman. Jellyfish Bai said no. At this moment, the baby at the side started crying again. Jellyfish Bai hurriedly hugged the baby and comforted him. Zhao Fu smiled and said, At first, I thought that your tribe would be born as little jellyfish. Jellyfish Bai rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu and said, Our tribe can turn into humans from a young age and can freely change between the two forms. Also, because of our bloodline's restrictions, our reproductive ability is very weak. Jellyfish Bai thought of something and said shyly, "Our tribe has always been monogamous. I don't know if we can have children with men." Zhao Fu chuckled and said, "It's impossible for us to have children." Jellyfish Bai said angrily, "You just said that you'll be responsible for me." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "That's really impossible. It's impossible for you to give birth to my child." Jellyfish Bai snorted and said, "I can give birth by myself. Why can't I?" Hearing this, Zhao Fu was a little curious. The jellyfish tribe did not have to worry about reproduction, which meant that they could give birth to children without him. If they absorbed his power, would they give birth to another form of child? Zhao Fu said, "Let me see." Jellyfish Bai was puzzled and asked, "What?" Zhao Fu pressed one hand on Jellyfish Bai's body and injected a wave of power into it. He could not help but sigh. Jellyfish Bai asked curiously, "What's wrong?" Zhao Fu said apologetically, "I'm sorry." Jellyfish Bai looked at Zhao Fu and said, "What do you mean? Why are you apologizing to me?" Zhao Fu explained, "You thought that you might not be able to reproduce because your monogamous reproductive ability has been restricted by my bloodline." Jellyfish Bai looked stunned and asked, "What's the reason for that?" Zhao Fu said, "This is the first time I've realized that it's because my bloodline's level is too high. In the future, you can only have children with me, and you can't reproduce monogamously." Jellyfish Bai looked at Zhao Fu and said coquettishly, "You're a bad guy, using such a method to make me be with you." Zhao Fu said innocently, "You really can't blame me for this. I didn't expect this to happen either." Jellyfish Bai said, "It's all your fault." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "All right, it's my fault. I'll take responsibility and take care of you in the future, okay?" Jellyfish Bai lightly harumphed and gave a trace of smile. She already trusted Zhao Fu, and she already had a good impression of Zhao Fu, so she did not mind being like this with him. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Where do you live? I'll send you back." The jellyfish looked at Zhao Fu with its white eyes and nodded. Chapter 33:12. Book 1, Chapter 256. 3 days later, Jellyfish Deng brought Zhao Fu back to the cliff with the women standing beside them. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I'm going down." Jellyfish Yin said, "You have to be careful. Although she has calmed down, she might continue to go crazy. If there's any danger, immediately fly up." Zhao Fu smiled as he nodded. Jellyfish Deng looked at him and said, "I won't let this fellow die just like that." Jellyfish One said, "I hope that we can solve this matter this time. We won't have to worry about it anymore." The women nodded. Following this, Zhao Fu and Jellyfish Deng flew down the cliff. This time, they did not encounter the huge whirlpool, and it seemed that it had calmed down. The two of them continued down, and after half a day, Zhao Fu finally saw it. It was an incomparably large jellyfish. The jellyfish's crown was huge and thick, and it was in the shape of an umbrella. There was a blue ball of light inside, and there were countless thin and long tentacles under its body. At the end of each tentacle was a blood-red hook, and its entire body was surrounded by a purple aura, making it look extremely terrifying. "Why did you come here?" the gigantic jellyfish said with a middle-aged woman's voice, which was somewhat hoarse. Jellyfish Deng said respectfully, "I brought him here to treat you." "Treat me for what?" "I'm not sick," Jellyfish Deng said with some anger. Jellyfish Deng became careful. Although she was the clan leader, and the jellyfish would give her some face, it did not mean that the jellyfish would not attack her. She said, "You're not sick, but please let him take a look at you. I only need a moment." Jellyfish Deng said impatiently, "Leave now, I don't want to see you again." Jellyfish One felt troubled. This time, they had come to solve a matter, so they naturally would not go back so easily. Jellyfish Deng said, "Senior, please give me some time." Boom! An enormous power exploded out from Jellyfish Deng's body, causing Jellyfish Deng to retreat 5 or 6 steps. Blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth. This was the power of a half-immortal. Jellyfish Puppet looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Let's go." At this time, the jellyfish had already attacked her, so they had to leave this place as soon as possible. If the jellyfish really went crazy, she and Zhao Fu would definitely die here, so she didn't dare to say anything. Zhao Fu looked at the jellyfish and said, I have the 8-directional water world. Do you want it? Water world of 8 sides? Do you have one? The jellyfish asked Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu nodded and stretched out his hand. A water world appeared in all directions. The jellyfish was pleasantly surprised and said somewhat crazily, Haha, there really is an 8-directional water world. This is the 8-directional water world. Jellyfish Pie couldn't help but say nervously, Let's go quickly. If she really goes crazy, we'll all die here. Zhao Fu said, You go first. Leave this to me. The jellyfish puppet looked quite confused, but she didn't seem to want to leave Zhao Fu here by himself. If Zhao Fu was killed like this, it would be the greatest loss to her race. At this moment, the jellyfish screamed, Give it to me. Give me the 8-directional water world. Zhao Fu smiled and said, I'll give it to you now. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and threw, causing the 8-directional water world to fly towards the jellyfish. The jellyfish happily stretched out its many tentacles and wrapped around the 8-directional water world. Following this, the jellyfish fused the 8-directional water world into its body, and a powerful poisonous power covered the 8-directional water world. The jellyfish wanted to use this method to refine the 8-directional water world, but the 8-directional water world had already recognized Zhao Fu as its master and gave off a blue protective light, blocking the poisonous power. Boom! The jellyfish was quite angry and gave off a powerful power. An even more ferocious poisonous power flowed towards the 8-directional water world, and the 8-directional water world gave off an even more intense blue light to resist. The jellyfish's tentacles started to sway uncontrollably, and the surrounding water, under the influence of its power, became turbulent, and a terrifying aura seemed to be able to seep into one's soul. The jellyfish was about to go crazy again. The jellyfish immediately wanted to take Zhao Fu and leave. Zhao Fu suddenly said, I have an 8-directional water world that is very easy to refine. Do you want to give it a try? The jellyfish looked at Zhao Fu and stretched out countless tentacles to wrap around Zhao Fu's body as it said, What method do you have? Hurry up and tell me. Zhao Fu smiled and said, First, you have to turn into a human form. Hearing this, the massive jellyfish did not think and immediately started to change. In the end, it turned into a beautiful woman with messy hair, a mature figure, and a transparent body. The jellyfish looked at Zhao Fu and asked, and then Zhao Fu smiled and said, I can help you refine it. It will only take a bit of time. The jellyfish said, How will you help me? Zhao Fu said with a smile, You only need to dual cultivate with me. The jellyfish directly said, Okay, let's hurry up. Zhao Fu smiled and flew towards the jellyfish. The jellyfish looked stunned. It did not expect that Zhao Fu would use this method. After a while, the 8-directional water world began to merge with the jellyfish's body. Zhao Fu smiled and said, Do you think you're going to refine the 8-directional water world soon? The jellyfish said happily, Yes, quickly continue to help me refine it. The jellyfish did not know that this was just an illusion controlled by Zhao Fu. Although the 8-directional water world had merged with the jellyfish's body, it was actually a kind of corrosion that was mainly caused by the 8-directional water world. In other words, it was not the jellyfish that controlled the 8-directional water world, but Zhao Fu that controlled the jellyfish with the 8-directional water world. As the 8-directional water world continued to merge, Zhao Fu also sensed the state of the jellyfish's body. The 8-directional water world that she had obtained was now in the position of her brain. Many blood veins wrapped around the 8-directional water world, and it was also surrounded by many purple poisonous gas. Zhao Fu did not know what method she had used, but now she was using this method to obtain a part of the 8-directional water world's power. If he wanted the jellyfish to return to normal, then he should take out the 8-directional water world. However, the jellyfish obviously would not let people take out this 8-directional water world. Zhao Fu thought for a while and controlled the 8-directional water world that had merged with the jellyfish to move towards the jellyfish's brain. He came to the side of the 8-directional water world that was wrapped in blood veins. Sensing the other 8-directional water world, that 8-directional water world became a little excited. It gave off a strong blue light and trembled, wanting to break free from the countless blood veins. This caused the jellyfish to show a painful expression. Zhao Fu quickly picked up the jellyfish and injected a wave of origin energy into the jellyfish's body, calming the excited 8-directional water world. First of all, he had to eliminate the countless blood veins wrapped around the 8-directional water world before he could take it out. How could he eliminate it? The jellyfish in Zhao Fu's arm said, "Bite me." The jellyfish obeyed and bit Zhao Fu. Blood flowed from the wound into the jellyfish's mouth, and a wave of bloodline power spread out. Chapter 33:13. Book I. Chapter 257. Zhao Fu's bloodline power merged with the jellyfish's bloodline, and he gained some control over the blood strands. Zhao Fu continued to control the blood strands to slowly retreat. This method should be the safest one, as it would not cause the jellyfish severe pain, and it would not make the jellyfish go crazy and fight back. Of course, there was also a disadvantage. The process might be very slow, and no one knew how long it would take to completely remove the blood. The jellyfish was now in Zhao Fu's arms with a look of enjoyment. Jellyfish walked over and couldn't help but ask, "How was it? Can it cure her madness?" Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Sure, but it will take a little longer." The jellyfish let out a sigh of relief. Zhao Fu continued to let the jellyfish suck his blood, allowing the power of his bloodline to continuously merge into the jellyfish's body, gaining more and more control over his blood. Half a day later, most of the blood tendrils covering the water world had retreated. Only a lot of blood tendrils remained at the bottom. The blood tendrils there seemed to have fused with the water world and were very difficult to control. If Zhao Fu accidentally touched the blood, the jellyfish would immediately show a painful expression. If it was a little more painful, Zhao Fu suspected that she would go crazy again, and he might die at her hands. Right now, the most important thing was to be safe. Zhao Fu controlled his water world to give off a massive amount of water world's power, which spread out within the jellyfish's body. The jellyfish's body quickly absorbed this power. With the help of this force, Zhao Fu dealt with the blood, and the jellyfish was no longer in pain. Zhao Fu immediately continued to control the blood vessels to retreat bit by bit, spending quite a bit of time. In the end, Zhao Fu finally withdrew all of the bloodlines, and the water world immediately exploded out with a powerful force, wanting to break out of the jellyfish's body. The water world had been bound by the jellyfish's body for so long, and it did not want to stay in the jellyfish's body at all. Zhao Fu hurriedly used his own power to envelop the 8-directional water world. If the 8-directional water world broke out, the jellyfish would also be seriously injured. Sensing Zhao Fu's power, the water world immediately became docile and did not rush out. Zhao Fu was not in a hurry to take out the 8-directional water world. He used the power of his 8-directional water world and the power of his bloodline to fuse them together and began to repair the damage to the jellyfish's brain. 2 hours later, Zhao Fu looked at the sleeping jellyfish in his arms and let out a sigh of relief. He reached out to the jellyfish's head and made a grabbing motion. 2 water worlds flew out of the jellyfish's head and floated in Zhao Fu's hand. Jellyfish smiled in surprise. "Did you succeed?" Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Jellyfish Deng looked at the jellyfish in Zhao Fu's arms and asked, "How is she?" Zhao Fu said, "She'll wake up soon. I've already cured her brain damage. She won't go crazy in the future." The jellyfish smiled and said, "Thank you." Zhao Fu chuckled. "You can thank me later." Jellyfish Deng blushed and rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu. "Can't you be a bit more serious?" At this moment, the jellyfish slowly opened her eyes and looked at Zhao Fu with a puzzled expression. "Who are you?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I'm your husband." "My husband?" The jellyfish looked puzzled. Jellyfish Deng asked curiously, "What's going on?" Zhao Fu explained, "After the brain is healed, she should lose some of her memories. It shouldn't be a big problem." Jellyfish Dang looked at Jellyfish Dang and said in surprise, "You're a jellyfish?" Jellyfish Dang smiled and nodded. Aunt Shui. Jellyfish Dang's seniority was much higher than Jellyfish Dang's. As the clan leader, Jellyfish Dang had to submit to Jellyfish Dang with respect. Jellyfish Dang smiled and responded. She suddenly reacted and blushed. She quickly struggled out of Zhao Fu's arms and asked, "What happened? Why am I here? How did he become my man? I remember that I obtained the 8 Directions Water World." Jellyfish Dang smiled and explained, "Aunt Shui, after you fused with the 8 Directions Water World, you fell into madness. Many of our clan's people were injured or killed by you, and now you're a taboo in our clan." Hearing this, Jellyfish Dang looked guilty. "I don't remember these things." Jellyfish Dang said, "This guy isn't your man. He's the man I brought to save you." Jellyfish Dang said shyly, "Then why did I have such a relationship with him?" Jellyfish Dang smiled and said, "He used this method to save you, and the 8 Directions Water World in your body has been taken out by him." Jellyfish Dang inspected her body and looked surprised. "The 8 Directions Water World in my body has disappeared, but why are there 2 powerful powers in my body? One is the power of the 8 Directions Water World, and the other is a very powerful bloodline power." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "These are the 2 powers I gave you." Jellyfish Dang looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "It's you?" Zhao Fu nodded. Jellyfish Dang smiled and said, "Aunt Shui, don't underestimate him. Although he's just an emptiness realm expert, his bloodline is extremely powerful, and he even made the 8 Directions Water World recognize him as its master." Jellyfish Dang looked at Zhao Fu in shock. "You can make the 8 Directions Water World recognize you as its master?" In the past, Jellyfish Dang used various methods to fuse with the 8 Directions Water World, but none of them worked. In the end, he used an extremely dangerous method to forcefully fuse with the 8 Directions Water World. Zhao Fu smiled and took out an 8 Directions Water World. Jellyfish Dang looked at the 8 Directions Water World in Zhao Fu's hand. It had already recognized Zhao Fu as its master, and Zhao Fu could control it at will. Jellyfish Dang couldn't help but show an envious expression. "How did you make it recognize you as its master?" Zhao Fu Dang smiled and said, "I just touched it, and it recognized me as its master." Jellyfish Dang was stunned. "So simple." Zhao Fu Dang smiled and said, "Yes." Jellyfish Dang felt a blow in her heart. Zhao Fu Dang then took out Jellyfish Dang's 8 Directions Water World and said, "This 8 Directions Water World is my reward for treating you." Jellyfish Dang thought for a moment and said, "This thing can only be kept with me. It has no meaning to me, so you can take it." Zhao Fu Dang smiled and said, "I gave you the power of the 8 Directions Water Seal. It isn't as strong as the 8 Directions Water World's power, but it can still help you a lot. It should be able to help you become an immortal." Jellyfish Dang had just found out that her cultivation had reached the half-immortal realm, and she smiled and said, "Thank you. I feel that you're a good person." Hearing this, Jellyfish Dang immediately said, "This guy is very bad. This guy is very bad. Don't be fooled by him." Jellyfish Dang looked at Jellyfish Dang in confusion. Jellyfish Dang told Jellyfish Dang what Zhao Fu had done. Jellyfish Dang said in surprise, "You and your daughter did the same thing as him?" Jellyfish Dang nodded. "That's why I said that this guy is very bad. Don't think that he's a good person. There's no need to thank him too much." Zhao Fu Dang smiled and said, "I won't be happy if you say that." As Zhao Fu Dang spoke, he pulled Jellyfish Dang into his embrace. Jellyfish Dang's face turned red, and she struggled out of his embrace, saying, "Now that things have been resolved, let's go back." Chapter 33:14. Book 1, Chapter 258. Zhao Fu and the others returned to the top. Everyone looked at Jellyfish, and Jellyfish Yin said in shock, "She's at existence at the bottom of the abyss?" Zhao Fu nodded. "Now that her illness has been cured, you don't have to worry about her in the future." Jellyfish Yin looked at Jellyfish Yin and smiled as she said, this is a good thing for our clan. Not only do we not have to worry about our safety in the future, but we've also obtained the protection of a half-celestial existence. Jellyfish Yin said apologetically, I couldn't control myself in the past and caused too much harm to our clan. Jellyfish Yin said, we can't blame you. In the future, if you think about everyone will forgive you. Let's spread the news. Jellyfish Yin smiled as she said, we should tell everyone about such a big thing. After the news spread, countless people looked pleasantly surprised and gathered at the chief temple. The Purple Moon Jellyfish clan did not have many people, and there were only 100 or so of them. Everyone looked at Jellyfish Yin, who had returned to normal, and smiled as they went to greet her. Jellyfish Yin let out a sigh of relief and was prepared to be scolded and insulted by everyone. However, she was a half-celestial existence, so how could these people dare to be like that? Everyone started to celebrate. Zhao Fu was refining the 8-sided water world at the back. He had heard from Inge that there would be unexpected things if he controlled 6 of them. Now, Zhao Fu had already controlled 6. Boom, boom, boom. When Zhao Fu controlled the 6th 8-sided water world, 6 massive explosions sounded out as the other 5 8-sided water worlds within Zhao Fu's body floated out of Zhao Fu's body. The 6 8-sided water worlds gave off a clear blue light, and a formless, pure source energy spread out. The people celebrating at the front sensed a powerful energy and came to the back of the temple, looking at the scene in front of them in shock. 6 8-sided water worlds? Jellyfish Yin said in shock. How can he have so many water worlds? Do you know who he is? Only now did Jellyfish Ling realize how terrifying Zhao Fu was. Shaking his head, he said, he didn't want to tell us, so we didn't ask. The jellyfish said with a serious expression, I thought he had 1 water world of the 8 directions, which was already shocking enough. I didn't expect him to have so many. How did he manage to control so many water worlds of the 8 directions? Jellyfish Yin looked at Zhao Fu and said, he should be a peerless genius within our water race. Now that he has control over 6 water worlds, it would not be difficult for him to become the supreme of the water race in the future. Jellyfish Moon smiled. That's great, Jellyfish Wind said with a smile. If he becomes the supreme of the water clan, based on our relationship with him, it will indeed bring us unimaginable benefits. Jellyfish muttered to himself, I didn't expect this bad guy to be so powerful. The surrounding origin water flooded into Zhao Fu's body and a massive aura spread out, causing everyone to feel a sense of pressure. Boom! An even louder explosion sounded out as a massive blue beam of light containing immense power shot into the sky, forming a massive blue pillar of light. Countless people in the water region sensed this power and revealed expressions of shock. That's the divine water pillar. Who can make the divine water pillar reappear in the water race? That's something that our water race only had during the Huang era. Could it be that this means that our water race will once again be glorious? This divine water pillar is something that can only be controlled by the water world of the 8 directions. This matter most likely has something to do with the water world of the 8 directions. Perhaps someone has collected many of them. It's not that simple. Even if we find the water world of the 8 directions, ordinary people won't be able to use it. If we want the divine water pillar to reappear, we have to make the water world recognize us as its master, which is impossible for ordinary people. Then who can make the water world recognize us as its master and make the divine water pillar reappear? I don't know who can do this, nor have I heard of anyone who can do it. Ordinary people use various methods to obtain a portion of the water world of the 8 directions. It's impossible for a treasure like this to recognize a master. You said that it's impossible for it to recognize a master. So what's making the divine water pillar reappear? I'm not sure about that, but I still don't believe that such a supreme treasure of the water race would recognize a water race person as its master. Within the temple, a formless power spread out, and the water in the surroundings seemed to solidify. As the formless power spread out, the solidified water became larger and larger. Many jellyfish were in the solidified water, and their bodies seemed to be frozen as well, unable to move at all. The massive water power seemed to be able to crush their bodies and souls, and a wave of fear welled up in their hearts. Zhao Fu, who was at the center of the pillar of light, was not affected at all. The 6 water worlds of the 8 directions formed a magic formation with Zhao Fu at the center. This was the magic formation that had stabilized the water back then, but it had shrunk a lot and was not as powerful as it had been back then. Countless strands of origin water flowed into Zhao Fu's body, causing Zhao Fu's body to become water elemental. A supreme power of the water race spread out. Everyone felt that Zhao Fu had fused with the water world of the 8 directions, and Zhao Fu seemed to be the water world of the 8 directions. This gave them a feeling that they needed to look up to, respect, and obey, as if Zhao Fu was the master of the water. As the origin water continuously flowed in, that feeling became more and more obvious, and the pressure on everyone became greater and greater. Boom! The blue pillar of light brought with it an even more ferocious power as it smashed into the sky. Waves of blue light spread out, dyeing that region of water blue. The countless creatures in the water also felt this pressure. The water race experts all looked into the distance in shock, wondering what Miyi was saying. Zhao Fu's body became completely made of water and gave off a pure and clear blue light. He looked quite ordinary, but he seemed to have fused with the water. The massive aura started to weaken, and the massive blue pillar of light disappeared. The 6 water worlds of the 8 directions fused into Zhao Fu's body, and Zhao Fu's body went through great changes. His long hair became blue, and there was a magic formation made of 6 small octagons between his eyebrows. His eyes became like sapphires, and his appearance became gentle and beautiful, and his body gave off a formless aura. Sensing the changes in his body, Zhao Fu gave a trace of smile. Now, he seemed to have truly fused with the water world of the 8 directions. His constitution had become the 8 directions water world body, and his control over the water world's power had greatly improved. Most importantly, Zhao Fu could sense the water race's emperor star in the sky. Zhao Fu's plan to awaken the water race's emperor star had taken a step forward. Chapter 33:15. Book 1. Chapter 259. Are you feeling better now? Jellyfish Ling asked, looking at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu came back to his senses and smiled. What's wrong? Jellyfish rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu. You caused such a big commotion, and you're asking me what's wrong? Zhao Fu chuckled. I didn't expect it to cause such a huge commotion. The jellyfish said, let's not talk about this first. Let's talk about your identity. We want to know who you are. I hope you're not lying to us. Zhao Fu thought about it. I am the son of the apocalypse. Hearing this, the jellyfish looked confused, but the others were shocked, and their hearts beat fast. Jellyfishian could not help but ask, are you sure it's the apocalypse, child? Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. The jellyfish asked curiously, who is the son of the apocalypse? The jellyfish had been crazy for so many years and had lost part of its memory, so it naturally didn't know who the son of the apocalypse was. Jellyfish Yin said, the Heaven-Awakened Son is a peerless person in the Heaven-Awakened world. He has awakened the emperor stars of the human race, demon race, devil race, outlander race, god race, spirit race, and death race, and he has countless sovereign powers. Countless experts in the Heaven-Awakened world are searching for him. Hearing this, the jellyfish looked quite shocked. She had underestimated Zhao Fu and had never thought that Zhao Fu's background would be so terrifying. Jellyfish Moon happily laughed as she said, did you come to our water domain to awaken the last water race emperor star? Zhao Fu nodded with a smile. The jellyfish said, no wonder you could make the water world recognize you as its master so easily. It turns out that you have such potential. However, only people like you can control the water world. Zhao Fu smiled and said, is there anything else? If there's nothing else, I'm going to leave and continue searching for the 8-directional water world. The jellyfish smiled and said, Why are you in such a hurry to leave? Zhao Fu said with a smile. Is there anything else? The jellyfish laughed and said, You've helped our clan so much this time, and we haven't repaid you yet. Stay with us for a few more days. Zhao Fu said with a smile. Okay, I can wait for 2 more days. The jellyfish Ling smiled and walked over to Zhao Fu. She sat in Zhao Fu's arms and said with a smile, Everyone here is yours now. Zhao Fu did not stand on ceremony either. Most of the members of the Purple Moon jellyfish race were mothers and daughters. There were also some members of the older generation. Unfortunately, there were only a little more than 100 of them. The next day, Zhao Fu was brought to a shrine by a sweet-looking young woman. Looking at the beautiful woman lying on the bed, he smiled and walked over. The beautiful woman's name was Jellyfish Li, and because she had been injured, she had not participated in the celebration. She knew what had happened in the clan, and when she saw Zhao Fu walk in, her face became red. The sweet girl was called Jellyfish, and she said happily, Mother, I brought this lord back. He has powerful abilities and should be able to quickly heal your injuries. Jellyfish Lee said shyly, There's no need. I can heal this injury myself. Jellyfish said, Mother, I was brought here by this lord. Moreover, I'll be very happy doing that with him. Mother, don't feel embarrassed. You're the only one in our clan who hasn't done that with him. Hearing this, Jellyfish Lee said, All right, I'll have to trouble you then. Zhao Fu smiled and walked over. A few hours later, Zhao Fu hugged Jellyfish Lee with one arm and Jellyfish and with the other as he smiled and asked, How do you feel? Jellyfish Lee smiled as she said, Thank you. My injuries have already healed. Jellyfish and happily hugged Zhao Fu as she said, Lord, I really want to be with you. I really want to be with you forever. Just stay with our clan and don't leave. Zhao Fu smiled as he explained, No, I still have important things to do. Jellyfish said expectantly, Then can you bring me and Mother along, sir? Mother and I will definitely listen to you. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, It's too dangerous. Jellyfish pouted in disappointment. Zhao Fu turned to look at Jellyfish Lee and said, Now that your injuries have healed, you'll be fine after a few more days of rest. I'll be leaving as well. Jellyfish Lee lightly nodded. After returning to the temple, Jellyfish Lee angrily rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu asked curiously, What's wrong? Jellyfish Lee said, Why didn't you explain the serious consequences? Zhao Fu replied, Aren't there many benefits? What serious consequences? Jellyfish Lee glared at Zhao Fu as she said, I'm talking about how our clan's reproductive abilities have been sealed by your bloodline's power. Will our clan be exterminated because of you in the future? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I'll help you take care of this. Jellyfish Lee looked at Zhao Fu and said, How will you take care of it? Originally, I wanted to get closer to our clan and perhaps give birth to your bloodline. But in the end, if you don't take care of it, you'll have to stay here. Zhao Fu said, I have a magic array that can transform races. I saw that the water abyss is so big and that there are many purple moon jellyfishes that don't have human forms. I think they can all transform into your clan. Jellyfish Lee thought for a moment and said, Is that okay? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I've already helped another water abyss race transform. Also, your clan only has 100 or so people. If something big happens, it'll be easy for you to go extinct. Jellyfish Lee said, I know that. If you can help us solve this problem, I can be your wife in the future and call you husband. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Am I not now? Jellyfish Lee said, Of course not. Right now, we're just friends. Moreover, we'll benefit more from being like you, so we won't lose out. Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, All right. Jellyfish Lee asked curiously, What grade has your bloodline reached? Why does it have such an effect? Even as a half-celestial, I am unable to give birth to your children. Zhao Fu smiled as he replied, My bloodline has already reached the peak of the world, let alone half-celestials. Even celestials are unable to give birth to my children. Jellyfish Lee said, With your height, how can you give birth to your children? Won't you have no descendants then? Zhao Fu said, I might not have any in the mortal world, but I could go to the celestial realm in the past. Now that I have an immortal constitution, I can continuously reincarnate, so I don't care so much about my descendants. Jellyfishly said, "You've never been a parent before, so you won't understand what it's like to be one." Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, "Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's try and help your clan transform." Jellyfishly smiled and said, "I'm sure." Following this, Zhao Fu brought the others and left. They found a massive purple moon jellyfish and used the jellyfish Li's blood to easily create a new purple moon jellyfish with the same bloodline and the ability to reproduce monogamously. Zhao Fu asked, "Are you at ease now?" Jellyfishly smiled and nodded. Chapter 33:16. Book 1. Chapter 260. Zhao Fu returned to the Shadowfish clan. Ingli smiled as she said, "Were you the one who caused those ripples?" Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Inglian smiled as she said, "We knew it was you. This matter has shaken the entire water domain, and the various factions don't know that it was you." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I didn't expect it to cause such a big commotion." Inka looked at Zhao Fu and said, "You promised to give me the 6th heavenly water seal. You should have it by now." The 6th heavenly water seal was the seal that had just appeared between Zhao Fu's eyebrows. It was a seal constructed from the 6 water worlds of the 8 direction, and it had 10 times the power of an ordinary water seal. Moreover, it could not be given casually, and it would take some time to recover. Ingyi said, "I want one too." Inglian also said, "You can't be biased." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "You all have it, but I can only give you 2 a day." Inku said, "You were the first to agree, so I should be the first. I urgently need the 6th heavenly water seal to recover its power." Hearing this, the others did not argue with Inku anymore. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I'm sure. The second one will depend on who performs." The hall became chaotic. Half a day later, Inku and Ingli both had a 6th heavenly water seal between their eyebrows. In terms of performance, Ingli's performance was definitely the best. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I'm leaving." Yin said, "We'll help you find information about the water worlds of the 8 direction. Isn't it good for you to stay with the Shadowfish clan?" Zhao Fu said, "I want to find it myself." Ingli hugged Zhao Fu and said coquettishly, "I can't bear for you to leave. Won't it be faster if we help you find it?" Zhao Fu said, "I know. Just send someone to tell me when you get any information. I also want to find it myself. That way, it might be faster." Inya said, "We won't make things difficult for you. Now that you've obtained the 6 water worlds of the 8 direction, it's more likely that you'll obtain information. Our Shadowfish clan will also do our best to help you. If you have any problems, you can come and find us." Zhao Fu nodded and smiled. "Thank you." Ingmu looked at Zhao Fu and said, "After being with you for so long, I really can't bear to part with you. I know you have many women, so I hope you won't forget about us." Zhao Fu chuckled and said, "I will remember you all." Afterwards, Zhao Fu left the Shadowfish clan. Because he hadn't received any news and didn't know where to go, he could only choose a random direction. A few hours later, Zhao Fu came to a royal city, and seeing many people discussing, Zhao Fu walked over curiously. Only after sniffing around did he find out that the royal palace had been robbed, and they were currently looking for who had snuck into the royal palace to steal. Anyone who provided information would be greatly rewarded. After knowing this, Zhao Fu didn't care too much. After a simple night's rest, he continued to the next place. "Quick, chase after them. Don't let them escape." A loud voice rang out. Zhao Fu looked at a group of soldiers chasing after a black-clothed young man. Seeing that he couldn't escape, the black-clothed young man looked at Zhao Fu and threw something to Zhao Fu as he said, "The thing that your royal palace lost is there." Zhao Fu caught it and found that it was a map made from fish skin. The soldiers quickly surrounded Zhao Fu, and some of them continued to chase after the young man. A well-built man stretched out his hand toward Zhao Fu and said, "Hand it over." Zhao Fu threw the thing to the man and prepared to leave. The well-built man called out, "You still want to leave? I suspect that you're an accomplice. Come back with me for investigation." Zhao Fu frowned and said, "I've already given you the thing. and I have nothing to do with this. Don't go too far." The man coldly harumphed. "I can't be bothered to waste words with you. Capture him." The soldiers surrounding Zhao Fu immediately attacked Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu exploded out with power, sending everyone flying. They coughed up a mouthful of blood and could not even stand up. The well-built man's expression was quite unsightly. Zhao Fu coldly looked at the man and grabbed out with his hand, causing a large, formless hand to grab the well-built man. The man hurriedly said, "Sir, please spare me. This is a misunderstanding." Zhao Fu said coldly, "Now you know that this is a misunderstanding?" The man was speechless. He knew that Zhao Fu most likely had nothing to do with this, but to be safe, he had to be brought back for investigation. After all, he was just an ordinary person. If he died, then so be it. At that moment, another group of people rushed out and surrounded Zhao Fu. A beautiful woman with a seductive figure walked out of carriage. She wore a silver dress and looked at the scene in front of her as she asked, "What happened?" The man quickly explained, "Queen, we were chasing the thief who stole the palace's items, and there was a misunderstanding with this, sir." The woman was called Zhang Yu, and she looked at Zhao Fu as she said, "Since it's a misunderstanding, please let him off this time." Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and threw the man to the side. The man hurriedly came to Zhang Yu's side and handed the map to her. "Queen, this is the stolen treasure map." Zhang Yu looked at the treasure map and put it away. "No one has seen this map before, right?" The man replied, "The treasure map has already been opened, and it's possible that the thief has seen it." "Also," the man said as he looked at Zhao Fu. Just then, Zhao Fu had taken a look at it. Zhang Yu understood and said, "All right, it's fine now." Hearing this, the man let out a sigh of relief. Zhao Fu smiled as he asked, "What is this treasure map?" Zhang Yu smiled as she said, "It's none of your business. If there's nothing else, please leave." Zhao Fu smiled as he nodded and left. The female attendants said, "Queen, this person dared to injure our soldiers in the royal city. Why didn't we just capture him and kill him?" Zhang Yu said, "This person gives me a very dangerous feeling. It's best not to offend him." After returning to the palace, Zhang Yu frowned as she looked at the treasure map in her hand. This was just one of the stolen items, and she wondered if the thief had not known its value and had thrown it away. However, it was also possible that the thief had already memorized the map, so they had to capture this thief. The door was suddenly opened, and Zhang Yu frowned as she said, "Didn't I tell you? Don't disturb me if there's nothing else." "Queen, is there something bothering you? Why don't you tell me?" Zhang Yu looked at the man who had walked in, and her expression changed. "Why are you in the palace?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "The palace's defenses are too simple, so I casually came in." Zhang Yu said coldly, "What are you doing in the palace?" Zhao Fu smiled as he walked toward Zhang Yu, and smiled as he said, "What do you think I want to do?" Zhang Yu really wanted to call for help, but Zhao Fu immediately leapt over to protect her and blocked her mouth. Zhang Yu vigorously struggled and glared at Zhao Fu, but Zhao Fu did not look like he was going to let her off. Chapter 33:17. Book 1, Chapter 261. A few hours later, Zhao Fu hugged Zhang Yu with one hand as he looked at the multi-spiritual treasure map and smiled as he asked, "What is this?" Zhang Yu's face was red, but her expression was cold, and she did not pay any attention to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "I heard that your son is only 8 years old and has just become king. The other royal families seem to be dissatisfied with you." Zhang Yu's expression was cold, and she still did not say anything. Zhao Fu continued to smile as he spoke. "Perhaps I can help you." Zhang Yu looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Really?" Zhao Fu hugged Zhang Yu and smiled as he said, "Do you think I'd lie to you? Do you want me to kill everyone who opposes you?" Zhang Yu's expression softened as she said, "There's no need for that." Zhao Fu said, "Tell me, what is this multi-spiritual treasure map?" Zhang Yu said, "The multi-spiritual treasure map is actually a treasure map. There are 3 pieces in total, and as long as you gather all 3, you'll be able to find the treasure. Legend has it that there are many rare treasures, so it's called the multi-spiritual treasure trove." Zhao Fu asked. Is there an 8-sided water world inside? Zhang Yu shook her head. I'm not sure. Zhao Fu then asked. Where are the other 2 pieces? Zhang Yu said, I don't know either. We've had this map for a long time, but we've never used it, so we put aside. Zhao Fu nodded and thought about that black-clothed youth, wondering if he had anything to do with this. Zhang Yu looked at Zhao Fu and asked, Who are you? Zhao Fu lightly smiled. I'll be taking this multi-spiritual treasure map. Let me see if there's anything I want inside. If there's no treasure, I'll give it to you. Zhang Yu nodded. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, If you have something to say, just say it. Perhaps I'll leave this region soon. Zhang Yu thought about it and said, The greatest threat to my son is a prince. I want you to help me get rid of him. I have to warn you. He's extremely powerful and is our kingdom's #1 expert. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. No problem. Arriving at the gate of the prince's residence, Zhao Fu waved his hand, and a powerful force sent the guards flying before he walked in. Many soldiers rushed out. A middle-aged man in a golden robe with a masculine aura also walked out. He was the prince named Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi said coldly, How dare you barge into the palace so brazenly? Zhao Fu smiled and said, You're that prince? I'm here to kill you. If you have any last words, say them quickly. There won't be time later. Hearing how arrogant these words were, Zhang Yi immediately exploded out with a powerful Emperor Heaven Realm aura, causing the heavens and earth to dim. The soldiers in the surroundings felt an intense fear and were filled with confidence in Zhang Yi. Zhao Fu's lips curled into a smile. His eyes were filled with disdain as he struck out with his palm. Bang! Zhang Yi was sent flying by an invisible force and coughed up a large mouthful of blood. Everyone present was astonished. Was this real? Ark! Zhang Yi furiously roared and gave off immense power as he rushed at Zhao Fu. He came before Zhao Fu and continuously punched towards Zhao Fu, as if he wanted to destroy everything. A formless wall appeared in front of Zhao Fu, blocking all of Zhang Yi's attacks. Zhang Yi felt incredibly shocked. How could this person be so powerful? No matter how much he attacked, he could not even break through Zhao Fu's defenses. Zhao Fu smiled as he looked at Zhang Yi and said, Have you had enough? Zhang Yi coldly harumphed. No. Boom! Zhang Yi punched out with all of his strength, bringing with it a blinding golden light as it flew toward Zhao Fu. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the punch slammed against the formless wall. Waves of golden light rippled out, causing the ground to continuously crack, giving off terrifying sounds. However, the formless wall did not seem to be damaged at all, causing Zhang Yi's expression to become quite unsightly. Zhao Fu smiled as he also struck out with his palm, and an enormous aura blasted toward Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi felt as if a mountain was crashing towards him. Bang! A muffled sound rang out as Zhang Yi was once again sent flying back. His body was covered with blood, and he no longer had any signs of life. All of the soldiers stood there, dumbfounded. They had never thought that the kingdom's #1 expert would die at someone else's hands. Zhao Fu looked at these soldiers, and traces of black aura condensed into swords as they shot towards them. Countless cries sounded out as the soldiers' bodies were pierced by the swords, causing blood to spurt everywhere. Zhao Fu continuously killed those soldiers as he continued onwards. In the end, he killed his way to the backyard, where a group of soldiers blocked in front of Zhao Fu. Behind them were many women, children, and elderly people. Just as Zhao Fu was about to continue attacking, a beautiful woman dressed in a white dress called Zhang Yin walked out and said, When did we offend you? Why did you want to exterminate our family? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I received a request from someone. Zhang Yin asked, Who? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Why should I tell you? Zhang Yin said, What did he give you as a reward? We're willing to give you 100 times the reward, but please spare us orphans and widows. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Sure. Hearing this, everyone let out a sigh of relief. They did not want to die, and facing a murderous demon like Zhao Fu, they only felt fear. They had never thought that Zhao Fu would agree so easily. Zhang Yin said, "I'll give you your reward now." Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "What reward? Let me remind you that I'm only interested in your women." Hearing this, Zhang Yin understood what Zhao Fu meant, and her expression became quite unsightly as she said, "I can give you all of my treasures." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "You only have two choices. Either all of you die, or all of your women step forward." A bewitchingly beautiful woman called Zhang Yin hurriedly cried out, "Big sis, please agree. Otherwise, we'll all die here. Otherwise, we will all die here. I really don't want to die. Please." A mature and beautiful woman sighed as she said, "Just agree. We don't have a choice, and I don't want my child to die here. He's only 5 years old." Hearing this, Zhang Yin looked at the women and said, "All right." Zhao Fu gave a satisfied smile as he looked at the 10 or so women walk out. They were all Zhang Yi's women. Zhang Yi had many women, and all of them were quite good-looking. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Everyone else can leave." Zhang Yin said, "Hurry up and leave." After receiving the order, the soldiers brought the elderly and children and quickly left, not daring to stay for even a moment. They were afraid that Zhao Fu would go back on his word. Seeing everyone leave, Zhao Fu smiled as he walked over to Zhang Yin and said, "Be happy." Zhang Yin coldly looked at Zhao Fu and said, "You killed my husband. How can I be happy?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Yes, but it's fine." Chapter 33:18. Book 1. Chapter 262. Half a day later, Zhang Yu brought people here and cleaned up the corpses and bloodstains. Seeing that the backyard had not been cleaned up, Zhang Yu said, "Why haven't these been cleaned up?" One of the guards looked quite awkward. Hearing this, Zhang Yu understood what was going on and said, "You can all leave." The guards obeyed and left. Zhang Yu walked to the backyard and looked at Zhao Fu ravaging Zhang and I. Seeing Zhang Yu walk in, Zhang and I understood that it was Zhang Yu who had sent Zhao Fu to kill her family, and her eyes became filled with hatred. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "You're here." Zhang Yu said coldly, "You really don't let off any woman." Zhao Fu laughed. Zhang Yu looked at Zhao Fu and said, "How do you plan to deal with them?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I don't think they pose much of a threat, so let's leave them alive." Zhang Yu frowned. "Leaving them alive will cause problems in the future. After this is over, kill them all." Zhang and I hurriedly begged, "Your Majesty, we promise to live peacefully and not cause any trouble. Please let us off this time." A flirtatious woman cried as she said, "Your Majesty, we really don't dare to become enemies with you. Please let us off." Zhang and I looked at Zhao Fu and said, "You promised me." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Give me some face and let them off this time. I can promise that they won't be a threat and can even compensate you." Zhang Yu thought about it and said, "All right." Following this, Zhang Yu turned and left, and Zhang Mu and the other women thanked Zhao Fu. After some time, Zhao Fu prepared to leave, and Zhang and I could not help but say, "Are you just going to leave us here?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Don't worry, no one will harm you." Zhang and I asked, "Did you do this with the queen?" Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. "Is there anything else?" There was a look of hatred on Zhang Yan's face as he said coldly, "We can both be your women, but you have to promise me to kill the queen." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I won't agree to that." Zhang Kaishuang looked at Zhao Fu and did not say anything. Zhao Fu also left the place, intending to find the thief and see if he had anything to do with the many-spirit treasure map. 2 days later, Zhao Fu blocked in front of a black-clothed youth and said with a smile, "You really know how to hide. It took me 2 days to find you." The young man's name was Zhang Yu, and his expression was ugly. He remembered Zhao Fu and knew that Zhao Fu had come to cause trouble. So he said, "Brother, this is my fault. I'm willing to compensate you with a large sum of money. How about it?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I'm not interested in money. I'll ask you a question. If you tell me, I'll let you go this time." Zhang Yu smiled and said, "What did you say?" Zhao Fu asked, Why did you steal so many spiritual treasure maps? Zhang Yu looked puzzled. I stole many spiritual treasure maps? You're saying that I lost the mini spiritual treasure map? Zhao Fu nodded. Zhang Yu smiled and said, I took a look at it and thought it was useless, so I threw it away. I didn't expect it to be the legendary mini spiritual treasure map, but it's useless in my hands. Zhao Fu looked at Zhang Yu and said, So you accidentally stole the mini spiritual treasure map? Zhang Yu nodded and said, That thing is useless to me, so why would I steal it? Zhao Fu looked at Zhang Yu and said, You can leave now. Zhang Yu smiled and said, Brother, I have some news about the mini spiritual treasure map, but I don't know if it's true or not. Do you want to hear it? Zhao Fu smiled and said, Go ahead. Zhang Yu said, I heard that the Reef City City Lord has a mini spiritual treasure map. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, Thanks. Zhang Yu smiled and said, You're welcome. Zhao Fu immediately flew away from this place and arrived at the Reef City. This was a lawless area, and the streets were crowded and dirty. Zhao Fu directly walked towards the City Lord's mansion. A hand quietly stretched out towards Zhao Fu, wanting to steal something from Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and found that it was a young girl. The young girl was not afraid and shouted, Let go of me, or I'll call you brother. Zhao Fu asked in confusion, Call you brother? The young girl snorted and said, You're not my brother? My brother is fierce and fat. Zhao Fu smiled and said, So you want to call someone to beat me up after stealing my things? The young girl said confidently, That's right. Zhao Fu picked up the young girl and walked to the side and said with a smile, I'll let you experience the evil of the world. Seeing this scene, the crowd did not stop him and instead started to jeer. The young girl struggled angrily as she cursed at Zhao Fu for being a bastard. At that moment, a fat man stood in front of Zhao Fu, holding a saber and a staff. He said furiously, Put my sister down. The young girl said happily, Brother, hurry and save me. This person is bullying me. I must break his bones. Zhao Fu smiled and said, Your sister is mine. The fat man shouted angrily, You're seeking death. The fat man did not waste any words and led a group of people to rush at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu only released a wave of power and sent them flying. I've been using an app recently. It supports both Android and Apple phones. Zhao Fu laughed condescendingly. You bunch of trash are the ones seeking death. The fat man's expression became unsightly, and he immediately knelt on the ground. Sir, it was my stupidity that angered Sir. Seeing that the fat man was quite tactful, Zhao Fu smiled and said, Scram. The fat man did not stand up and said awkwardly, What about my sister? Seeing how powerful Zhao Fu was, the young girl was so scared that she did not dare to make a sound. Zhao Fu smiled and said, I already said that I want her. Did you not hear me? Do you want me to say it again? The fat man hurriedly said, There's no need. The young girl said with tears in her eyes, Brother. At that moment, a beautiful madam wearing a light purple dress with a mature figure walked over and said, Give me some face and let her go. The young girl looked at the madam and happily called out, Aunt Qing. Zhao Fu looked at the madam and smiled as he said, Why should I give you face? The fat man next to him reminded, This is the city lord's mother. Zhao Fu smiled and said, So what? Everyone looked quite surprised. They had never thought that Zhao Fu would be so bold and not give her any face at all. The madam felt quite angry, but endured it and said, I know she's in the wrong. I'll discipline her in the future. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, What does that have to do with me? The beautiful madam's tone became cold as she said, If you don't let her go, I'll call the soldiers. Zhao Fu did not feel any fear and smiled as he said, There's no need to go through so much trouble. Just call the city lord out. The beautiful madam felt quite shocked. How could this person be so arrogant? Boom! An explosion sounded out as a figure appeared in front of Zhao Fu and ferociously slashed towards Zhao Fu with a saber that seemed to be able to split apart a mountain. Chapter 33:19. Book 1, Chapter 263. Zhao Fu stretched out a finger and blocked the attack. This caused all of the wolves present to look quite shocked, including the person who had attacked Zhao Fu. She was a short-haired woman wearing tight clothes and looked quite ferocious. Zhao Fu flicked his finger, and a massive force sent the short-haired woman flying back. She crashed to the ground and coughed up a mouthful of blood. The beautiful woman came up and asked caringly, "Daughter, are you all right?" Zhao Fu looked at the short-haired woman and said, "Are you the city lord?" The short-haired woman stood up with a serious expression and said, "I am." Zhao Fu smiled and walked over to the short-haired woman. The short-haired woman immediately leapt up from the ground and slashed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's fist landed on the short-haired woman's abdomen, and a powerful force pierced through her body, causing her to cough up a large mouthful of blood and powerlessly fall in front of Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu picked up the short-haired woman and smiled as he said, "Let's go to the city lord's palace." Everyone in the surroundings looked quite nervous and afraid. They felt that Zhao Fu was so powerful that he could terrify them, and no one dared to make sound. The beautiful woman nodded. Zhao Fu carried the two women to the city lord's palace and threw them to the side as he hugged the beautiful woman. The beautiful woman angrily struggled a few times and glared at Zhao Fu as she said, "I advise you to let go of me. I have a man, and you can't afford to offend him." Zhao Fu smiled as he asked, "Who is he?" The beautiful woman said, "The king of the kingdom of water change." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I'll kill him later." The beautiful woman was so angry that she could not speak. She had never seen such a domineering and despicable man like Zhao Fu. The hall quickly became chaotic. Afterwards, Zhao Fu asked the short-haired woman, "I heard that you have more spirit treasure maps?" The short-haired woman breathed heavily and ignored Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's eyes flashed with a hint of coldness as he said, "I'll give you another chance. Do you have more spiritual treasure maps?" The beautiful woman was worried about what Zhao Fu would do and quickly said, "We don't have many spiritual treasure maps here." Zhao Fu frowned. Had he wasted all his energy again? The short-haired woman glanced at Zhao Fu and said, "If you promise me one thing, I will tell you about the spiritual treasure map." Zhao Fu asked, "What is it?" The short-haired woman said, "I want you to destroy the Shui-E kingdom." Zhao Fu had a puzzled look on his face. "Are you sure that the king of the Shui-E kingdom isn't your father?" The short-haired woman said coldly, "I don't have a father who would abandon his wife and son for the throne. I believe that it should be easy to destroy the Shui-E kingdom." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "It would be easy for me to kill the king, but it would be much more troublesome to destroy an entire kingdom." The short-haired woman said, "I want you to destroy his most important thing and not harm him. I want to see him lose everything." Zhao Fu started to hesitate. The young girl stood by the side with a red face and could not say anything. The short-haired woman asked, "How about it? If you can do that and obtain more than one spiritual treasure map, my mother and I will serve you." The beautiful woman said, "Daughter, forget it." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. "All right." The short-haired woman smiled and picked up Zhao Fu. The beautiful woman sighed. She had wanted to use the Shui-E kingdom to threaten Zhao Fu, but had never thought that such a thing would happen. Zhao Fu returned to the palace, and a boy ran out of a room and knocked into Zhao Fu. The boy looked at Zhao Fu nervously. Zhang Yu also walked out and looked at Zhao Fu as she said, "My son, go and play." The boy nodded. Zhao Fu went up and picked up Zhang Yu, and the door quickly closed. 2 hours later, Zhao Fu hugged Zhang Yu and said, "I want to ask you to help me destroy the nearby Shui-E kingdom." Zhang Yu lay in Zhao Fu's embrace and asked with a red face, "What happened?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Agree to someone's request." Zhang Yu said, "Even though that Shui-E kingdom is not as strong as us, it is not weak. If we want to destroy them, we will lose many soldiers." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I will help you kill those generals." Zhang Yu smiled. "All right, I promise you. If Zhao Fu could deal with those generals, their kingdom would be able to easily destroy the Shui-E kingdom, which would be of great benefit to them. It would be equivalent to obtaining a kingdom for free so they naturally would not reject such a good thing. Following this, the Shui Dong Kingdom launched an all-out attack against the Shui Yi Kingdom. This made the Shui Yi Kingdom feel quite confused. They could not understand why the Shui Dong Kingdom was suddenly attacking them, and they could only quickly gather their soldiers to defend. However, at that moment, many of the Shui Yi Kingdom's generals had been assassinated, causing the Shui Yi Kingdom's army to fall into chaos and panic. The Shui Dong Kingdom took this opportunity and easily invaded the Shui Yi Kingdom's territory. This caused the Shui Yi Kingdom's army to lose even more morale, and some people directly deserted. Zhang Yu looked at the good news and smiled. She looked at Zhao Fu, who was dazzling a few concubines, and she could not help but admire his abilities. With him around, all difficulties would be easily solved. A flirtatious woman smiled as she said, "Big sister, are you still not coming?" These concubines were not the prince's concubines, but the king's concubines. They had come by themselves, or else Zhao Fu would not have known about them. Zhang Yu's face became slightly red as she walked over. On the third day, the Shui Dong Kingdom had completely broken through the Shui Yi Kingdom's territory and was now attacking the Shui Yi Kingdom's royal city. This speed was quite shocking. A handsome-looking middle-aged man looked furious. He was the Shui Yi Kingdom's king. Sitting next to him was a sweet-tempered and beautiful woman. She was the Shui Yi Kingdom's queen, and she said, "They're about to attack." The handsome-looking man said furiously, "I know." The sweet-tempered woman asked, "What do you plan to do?" The handsome-looking man said angrily, "I won't leave. If you want to leave, you can leave by yourself." The sweet-tempered woman did not say anything else. She had already made her decision. If she wanted to leave, she would have already left like everyone else. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the defensive barrier was shattered, and countless soldiers gave off an unstoppable aura as they charged into the royal city. The handsome-looking man led the remaining soldiers and charged at the Shui Dong Kingdom soldiers. However, they were quickly inundated by Shui Dong Kingdom soldiers. After killing a few soldiers, the handsome-looking man was captured by a few experts. Within the palace, the sweet-tempered woman was about to commit suicide when she was captured by Shui Dong Kingdom's people. In just a short period of time, the Shui Yi Kingdom had been destroyed, and this news shocked everyone. Countless people were curious about what had happened between the two kingdoms. Why had they suddenly started a war? How had the Shui Dong Kingdom's power become so terrifying? They did not know that all of this was because of a single man. Chapter 33:20. Book 1, Book 2, Chapter 264, translated by Hypersheep 325, edited by Mike. Here Zhao Fu looked at the handsome-looking man and his concubines and smiled as he said to the short-haired woman, "I've done what I promised you. Where is the multi-spirit treasure map?" The short-haired woman replied, "The multi-spirit treasure map is in the kingdom of Shui Yi's treasury." Hearing this, Zhao Fu ordered people to search for it. The handsome-looking man looked furious as he said, "It was you who told him to attack the kingdom of Shui Yi?" The short-haired woman calmly nodded. The handsome-looking man said furiously, "I shouldn't have let you and your mother live. I was too soft-hearted and spared you. If I had another chance, I would definitely kill you." The mature woman lowered her head and started to cry. The short-haired woman smiled as she said, "Are you regretting it now? Don't worry, I won't kill you. I like to see how pitiful a person from a destroyed kingdom like you is. This is the price you have to pay for abandoning my mother back then." The handsome-looking man furiously cursed, "You slut." The gentle-looking woman and her concubines knelt by the side. The gentle-looking woman looked like an adult, while the other concubines looked terrified and nervous. At that moment, a guard came over with a map and reported, "Sir, we found the multi-spirit treasure map in the kingdom of Shui Yi's treasury." Zhao Fu took it and looked at it, and he smiled in satisfaction. Of the 3 multi-spirit treasure maps, only one was left. Zhao Fu looked at the handsome-looking man and said, "I'm not interested in your matters. You can do whatever you want with him. The short-haired woman smiled and nodded. Zhao Fu looked at the concubines and smiled as he said, "Come with me." The gentle-looking woman and the others did not dare to say anything and followed Zhao Fu to a room. Zhao Fu lifted the gentle-looking woman's chin, and the gentle-looking woman's attitude was cold, but she did not resist. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Do you know what I'm going to do?" The gentle-looking woman said, "I do." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Why don't you resist?" The gentle-looking woman said calmly, "Do you think I can resist?" Zhao Fu slightly smiled and went up to pick her up. 2 hours later, the short-haired woman walked in and looked at Zhao Fu ravaging the princesses and smiled as she said, "I let him go." Zhao Fu said, "You're just going to let him go like this? Aren't you afraid of him taking revenge in the future?" The short-haired woman said, "Now that she has lost everything, it will be difficult for her to survive in the future. Moreover, I still have you, so I don't have to be afraid of anything." Zhao Fu chuckled. The short-haired woman smiled and walked over to join them. The next day, Zhao Fu began to search for the last multi-spirit treasure map. According to the information, it was in the hands of a faction called Blue Fish. This Blue Fish faction was ordinary. Zhao Fu casually snuck in and began to search for more spiritual treasure maps. After searching for a while, Zhao Fu did not find anything. Just as he was about to unleash his full power and force the leader of the Blue Fish faction to hand over the spirit treasure map, he saw a fat middle-aged man walking to the side with a flirtatious woman. The fat middle-aged man seemed to be the leader of this faction, and he was called Londa. Zhao Fu did not know who that flirtatious woman was. Londa hugged Feng Yuzi and gave a naughty smile. Feng Yuzi struggled and lightly harumphed in dissatisfaction as she said, "You promised to give me the multi-spirit treasure map. When will you give it to me?" Londa laughed as he explained, "It's in my second brother's hands. I tried to bite him, but he refused to give it to me, so there's nothing I can do. If you want something else, I'll definitely give it to you." Feng Yuzi looked at Londa and said, "In other words, you can't obtain the multi-spirit treasure map?" Londa comforted her, "Don't be angry, darling. I'll try again." Feng Yuzi flirtatiously smiled as she said, "I believe you." Londa happily laughed and pushed Feng Yuzi away, but Londa immediately fainted and fell to the ground. Feng Yuzi stood up with a look of disgust and kicked Londa a few times as she cursed, "Damned fat pig. Did you really think that this old lady would believe you? You wasted this old lady's time." Feng Yuzi dragged Londa and prepared to walk to the side. Zhao Fu's body flashed and appeared in front of her. Feng Yuzi felt quite startled before she gave a flirtatious smile and said, "You don't seem to be from this faction. Why are you looking for me?" Zhao Fu said, "Why do you also want the multi-spirit treasure map?" Feng Yuzi looked at Zhao Fu seriously and said, "Were you nearby just now?" Zhao Fu nodded. Feng Yuzi said, "Why should I tell you?" Zhao Fu gave a trace of smile and took out 2 multi-spirit treasure maps. Feng Yuzi looked quite confused as she looked at the 2 multi-spirit treasure maps in Zhao Fu's hands and said, "Why do you have 2 of them?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I'm here for the last treasure map." Feng Yuzi gave a flirtatious smile and hugged Zhao Fu's arm as she said, "I can tell you that there's a spirit medicine in the multi-spirit treasure trove that is very useful to me. If you can hold it, I'll be yours." Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, "Aren't you going to use the same method you used on Londa to knock me out?" Feng Yuzi smiled and said, "You were able to be nearby and obtain 2 multi-spirit treasure maps. I'm not that stupid." Zhao Fu smiled and hugged Feng Yuzi as he said, "What do you plan to do next?" Feng Yuzi said, "I plan to find his second brother and exchange him for the multi-spirit treasure map." Zhao Fu nodded and said, "You can do that." Feng Yuzi gave a flirtatious smile and said, "There's no rush." Zhao Fu understood and hugged Feng Yuzi. A sinister-looking man looked at the letter in his hand and gave off a cold intent. The letter asked him to exchange the multi-spirit treasure map for Londa. He was Londa's second brother and was called Lan Shi. He was the person who controlled Lanyu. A woman with a graceful figure and wearing a gray robe asked, "What is it?" Lan Shi said coldly, Someone wants to exchange my big brother for the multi-spirit treasure map. The woman in gray coldly harumphed and said, Your big brother is trash and useless. He likes to cause trouble everywhere. I think it's better to get someone to kill him, or else you'll be implicated by him sooner or later. Launcher frowned and said, But he's my big brother. Even though the multi-spirit treasure map is precious, it's not as important as my big brother. The woman in gray said unhappily, From what you're saying, you really want to exchange the multi-spirit treasure map for your big brother? Launcher nodded. The woman in gray said, I don't agree. Launcher felt quite troubled and said, I can promise you that as long as you exchange for my big brother, I'll give you the treasure map. The woman in gray said, Even though the treasure map is my family's heirloom, I don't like that big brother of yours. Launcher said, He's my big brother. I have to get him. At that moment, a beautiful woman in a blue dress walked in and asked, I heard that my husband was captured by someone. The woman in gray nodded and said, That person said that he would exchange for the multi-spirit treasure map. Chapter 33:21. Book 1, Chapter 265. Rescue. The beautiful woman felt quite troubled and said, Can't we use something else? The gray-clothed woman shook her head. Launcher said, Sister-in-law, don't worry. I'll definitely save Big Brother. Just wait at home. The beautiful woman looked at the gray-clothed woman. Launcher said, Sister-in-law, you don't have to worry about this. I'll bring Big Brother back safely. The beautiful woman said, I'll go as well. The gray-clothed woman said, I want to go as well. Following this, the three of them went to a flat, empty area. They saw Phone Lizzie hugging a cloaked man with an infatuated look, while Londa was tied up and thrown to the side. The beautiful woman looked at Phone Lizzie and said angrily, So it was you who colluded with outsiders to harm my husband? Phone Lizzie flirtatiously smiled and said, It was me. Your husband isn't a good person. You have no right to say that to me. The beautiful woman pointed at Phone Lizzie and cursed, You adulterous couple. Phone Lizzie chuckled and said, Good husband. Did you hear that? She even cursed at us. You'll have to listen to me, teach her a lesson later. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Launcher said, I've brought the things. Let my big brother go now. Zhao Fu smiled and said, As long as you give me the multicolored treasure map, I'll immediately let him go. Launcher looked at the gray-clothed woman next to him. The gray-clothed woman took out the multicolored treasure map and gave it to Launcher. Launcher brought the multicolored treasure map to Zhao Fu and gave it to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu took the map and looked at it. It was indeed the real multicolored treasure map, and he was about to speak. At that moment, Launcher took out a dagger and stabbed towards Zhao Fu's heart like a bolt of lightning. Zhao Fu's expression became cold, and he stretched out a hand, grabbed Launcher's throat, and twisted, breaking Launcher's neck. Things happened too quickly, and there was no time for anyone to react. A while later, the gray-clothed woman looked at Launcher and ferociously rushed at Zhao Fu with her sword. Zhao Fu casually tossed the blue stone to the ground and slapped out with his hand. A massive power sent the gray-robed woman flying, and she crashed to the ground and coughed up a large mouthful of blood. She was powerless to continue fighting. Seeing his little brother killed, Londa looked at Zhao Fu in fear, not daring to say anything. Zhao Fu's eyes flickered and he waved his hand. A sword light flashed and Londa's head was chopped off, causing blood to spurt out. The beautiful woman started to cry and said furiously, Why did you kill my husband? Zhao Fu snorted coldly. I originally wanted to let you go after obtaining the treasure map, but since you're courting death, don't blame me. The beautiful woman couldn't retort, and she didn't have any strength, so she could only cry. Zhao Fu went up and hugged the beautiful woman and started to bully her. At first, the beautiful woman vigorously struggled, but in the end, she submitted to Zhao Fu. The gray-clothed woman was also carried over by Zhao Fu. Feng Yuzi happily joined in. Ever since she had done that with Zhao Fu, she had become infatuated with Zhao Fu. After some time, the beautiful woman collapsed on the ground and looked at her husband's corpse. Thinking about what Zhao Fu had done to her, she couldn't help but start to cry. Feng Yuzi slapped the beautiful woman and said, "What's there to cry about? If you keep crying, I'll kill everyone from your Bluefish faction." The beautiful woman glared at Feng Yuzi. She was also afraid that Zhao Fu would do that. The gray-clothed woman lay by the side with a cold expression and did not say anything. Zhao Fu ignored them and looked at the 3 multi-spirit treasure maps. He found that the 3 maps could be fused together, so he immediately fused them together. A new map appeared, and it looked quite different. Zhao Fu looked at the 3 multi-spirit treasure maps and found that they could be fused together. Zhao Fu looked at the new map, and because he was not familiar with this region, Zhao Fu called Feng Yuzi over. Feng Yuzi felt quite excited and walked over to take a look at the map. She quickly confirmed the location and found that it was within the Bluefish faction. Hearing that the multi-spirit treasure maps were here, the gray-clothed woman could not help but walk over and look at the map. This map was her family's heirloom, and it had been passed down for many generations. She had always wanted to know the secrets of this treasure map. Feng Yuzi was called Yu, and the beautiful woman was called Shui Duo. The gray-clothed woman was called Lan Zhan. Yu lightly laughed as she said, "Husband, the treasure trove is here. The treasure is right here. Let's open it now." Lan Zhan said, "I've been here for so many years, and I never thought that the treasure trove would be right beneath my feet. I want to go as well. This treasure trove might be related to my ancestor." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Let's go back together." Shui Duo looked at Zhao Fu and said, "I want to take my husband's corpse back. Is that all right?" Zhao Fu said, "Be obedient in the future." Shui Duo nodded. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "You can take it back." Lan Zhan looked at Lan Shi's corpse with a complicated expression. Even though they were not married, they were still a couple. She was very angry towards Zhao Fu's actions, but she was powerless and could only obey Zhao Fu. Most importantly, when she had been violated by Zhao Fu, she had already accepted Zhao Fu. Lan Zhan walked over and put Lan Shi's corpse away, planning to bury it properly later. After returning to the Bluefish faction, before everyone knew what had happened, Lan Zhan announced that he was now the leader of the Bluefish faction. Shui Duo also supported Lan Zhan. Lan Zhan's status in the Bluefish faction was quite high, but it was lower than Lan Shi's. Adding on Shui Duo's support, no one objected. For the sake of stability, Lan Zhan did not announce Brother Lan's death. Zhao Fu and Yu went to the Bluefish faction's valley and found an ordinary-looking mountain wall, according to the map. Yu asked, "Is the multi-spirit treasure trove here?" Zhao Fu smiled and pointed 4 times according to the method to open the treasure trove. 4 rays of black light shot out from the top, bottom, left, and right of the mountain wall, and a massive aura spread out. The 3 bodies started to tremble, and countless rocks started to tumble down. A massive stone door appeared on the mountain wall. Sensing this powerful aura, the Bluefish faction's people quickly rushed over. Seeing Zhao Fu and Yu, these 2 strangers, they prepared to go up and grab them. Lan Zhan immediately stopped them and had the others leave. He brought Shui Duo to Zhao Fu's side and looked at the stone door with a look of shock. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I'll be going in first." Yu pulled Zhao Fu and said, "I want to go in too." Lan Zhan said, "Me too." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I'm not sure if there are any dangers inside. You can go in after I go in to explore." Yu looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Then help me confirm if there are any spirit medicines I need." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Don't worry, even if there aren't any, I'll help you get them from somewhere else." Yu was quite touched as she said, "Thank you, husband." Seeing that Yu did not go in, Lan Zhan did not say anything. Zhao Fu came in front of the stone door and stretched out his hand. The stone door gave off a massive suction force that sucked Zhao Fu in, and he disappeared. Chapter 33:22. Book 1. Chapter 266. After entering the bag, Zhao Fu saw countless piles of treasures, giving off a brilliant light. However, he did not go up, as everything in front of him was just an illusion. With how powerful Zhao Fu's soul was, these illusions could not fool Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu continued forwards. The illusions quickly gathered, forming a massive golden treasure bear, which roared as it rushed at Zhao Fu. This was not an illusion, but an illusion condensed into a corporeal form, which contained killing power. Zhao Fu immediately stretched out a hand, and a powerful wave of energy flowed out, forming a formless wall. The treasure bear slammed into the wall with a bang. The wall was not damaged at all. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and pushed forwards, causing a massive wave of energy to push the treasure bear backwards, and the treasure bear ferociously attacked the wall with its claws. Even though the aura it gave off was quite shocking, facing Zhao Fu's immense power, it felt quite powerless. Bang! Zhao Fu pressed down with his hand, and a massive wave of energy pushed the massive treasure bear into the wall. Boom! An explosion sounded out as the treasure bear gave off an intense light, and an even more powerful energy exploded out from its body. However, before the treasure bear could retaliate, Zhao Fu clenched his fist and punched the treasure bear's head, causing it to cry out and kneel on the ground, begging for mercy from Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu felt quite surprised and lightly laughed as he said, "You're going to surrender just like that? You're not going to hold on for a bit longer?" The treasure bear hurriedly nodded. It now understood how powerful this man in front of it was. It had not been able to resist at all, and after being continuously punched in the head, it felt quite wronged and angry. Zhao Fu laughed as he said, "All right, I'll become skinnier." The treasure bear let out a sigh of relief, and its body started to shrink until it was the size of a normal doll. If it was not for the fact that Zhao Fu had seen the treasure bear's true size and power, he would have thought that it was a normal doll. Zhao Fu brought it along and continued onwards. They came to a very long tunnel. Treasure bear pointed at the ground, as if to say that there was a trap. Zhao Fu naturally knew about this, so he stepped forwards and stomped on the ground, causing the ground of the tunnel to collapse. Zhao Fu flew upwards, but the tunnel created a suction force that pulled Zhao Fu's body downwards. Below him were countless sharp spears. Treasure Bear stood at the entrance of the passageway and did not fall in. He had told Zhao Fu that it was a trap, yet Zhao Fu still wanted to go. He poked his head out of the passageway to see how Zhao Fu would die. However, Zhao Fu released many chains, which pierced through the walls on both sides. Seeing this, Treasure Bear immediately pretended to be loyal and tried to save Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu looked down at the ground, took out a sword, and slashed downwards. Boom! A massive sword light slashed downwards, and the terrifying sword energy destroyed everything below. Countless rays of sword light shot up from below, and shocking ripples continuously spread out. Treasure Bear looked terrified. Only now did he understand Zhao Fu's true power. After the commotion died down, the ground below had collapsed, and rocks and soil had filled up the area below. The powerful suction force had disappeared, and Zhao Fu cut off the chains and flew forwards. Treasure Bear reacted and quickly followed behind him. Following this, Zhao Fu came to a metal door. This door was incredibly big and seemed to be made of bronze. There were beasts carved on it: pigs, horses, rats, lions, and dogs. Boom! Boom! The bronze beasts opened their mouths and shot out beams of light that contained immense power toward Zhao Fu. A massive and dangerous aura spread out. Treasure Bear immediately hid behind Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu did not move, and his body released a defensive barrier that blocked all of the beams of light. Some of the beams of light were even refracted and deviated from their original trajectory. Treasure Bear looked at Zhao Fu in admiration. Boom! At that moment, the beast heads once again shot out even more powerful beams of light, but they still did not deal any damage to the defensive barrier. Zhao Fu swung his sword, and a massive black sword light slashed forwards. The massive bronze door gave off a bronze light and blocked Zhao Fu's sword light. Zhao Fu slightly smiled and vigorously slashed out, and an even larger black sword light slashed towards the bronze door. The beast heads once again shot out beams of light, which were like massive swords of light that smashed into the center of the black sword light. The two powers clashed, and a sword wind blew out. Bang! An explosion rang out, and the bronze gate once again blocked the attack. Zhao Fu became serious and raised his sword, sending a massive wave of power into it. The sword gave off traces of black sword chi, and a destructive power covered the surroundings. The bronze door sensed danger and gave off an intense light, and the beast heads also gave off light. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu slashed out, and an enormous black sword light containing destructive power slashed forwards, causing the ground to crack. Bang! The sword light slammed into the bronze door, slashing it open, revealing the space behind it, where many treasures were stored. Zhao Fu walked in and found that the space inside was quite big, about 500 or 600 square meters. There were all sorts of treasures, and Zhao Fu had heard that this spirit treasure trove had collected many treasures in this region. As such, he did not care too much about the amount. Following this, Zhao Fu started to look for the most important thing. That was the reason why Zhao Fu had come. After looking for half an hour, Zhao Fu sighed and could not find the omniscient water world. However, Zhao Fu had already found the medicine that Yu Yu was looking for. Zhao Fu walked out with Treasure Bear in disappointment. The three women waiting at the entrance were quite surprised to see Zhao Fu come out so quickly. Yu Yu asked in concern, "Is there the spirit medicine that I'm looking for inside?" Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and handed a bottle to Yu Yu. Yu Yu took the bottle and opened it, and a delighted smile appeared on her face. Lan Zhan asked, "How is it inside?" Zhao Fu said, "There's no danger inside now, so you can take a portion of the treasures and leave the rest." Lan Zhan said in confusion, "You don't want the treasures inside?" Zhao Fu replied, "There's nothing inside that I'm looking for, so I'll continue to look for it." Lan Zhan asked, "What are you looking for?" Zhao Fu replied, "The omniscient water world." Lan Zhan shook her head. She did not know anything about the omniscient water world. Zhao Fu said, "I'll be leaving now. If you encounter any danger, you can go find Shui Donghua. I'll leave the treasures inside for them." Lan Zhan said, "You're leaving so soon?" Zhao Fu nodded. "I still need to find the omniscient water world." You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.